party.
Have you had enough of the big-name web hosting services that are long on promises but short on bleeding-edge features, uptime, and customer service? Try Agorist Hosting, the agile web host that offers full concierge service from website redesign, full e-commerce solutions, custom apps for your Shopify store, IPFS integration, and more. Agorist Hosting is ready to take your web presence into the future. To get started, head over to agoristhosting.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. The Trump administration has signaled it won't abide by a law requiring it to seek congressional approval to continue the war with Iran once the 60-day deadline expired on Friday. The 1973 War Powers Act requires the president to start withdrawing troops from a conflict if Congress hasn't approved it within 60 days, or to request a 30-day extension. Tony Waterman has more.
The White House says for the purposes of this law, the hostilities with Iran have been terminated because the two sides haven't exchanged fire since the ceasefire began on April 7th, essentially hitting pause on the 60-day countdown. It's a completely novel interpretation of the law, which contains no such pause or ceasefire clause. Legal experts say it's unlikely to pass muster in court. Democratic lawmakers are also skeptical. But with Congress now in a recess for a week, it seems the passing of this deadline, which is meant to constrain a president's military power, will have no real consequences for now. Tony Waterman, Washington.
A man's been charged with attempted murder after two Jewish men were stabbed in North London on Wednesday. It comes as the UK's terror threat level was raised to severe, meaning officials believe an attack is highly likely in the coming months. There have been a spate of anti-Semitic attacks in the UK in recent months. Metropolitan Police Chief Mark Rowley says the threat level hasn't just been raised because of Wednesday's incident.
It's the wider context. We've got an increasing caseload in our counter-terrorism teams dealing with sort of Islamist terrorist activity. That's about three-quarters of the workload. Extreme right-wing terrorist activity. Obviously, there's a wider context of hostile states driving issues as well, which adds to that. That combined picture has tipped the threat level up a notch to severe, which means attacks are highly likely in the next few months.
During a 90-minute-long phone conversation, US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the Middle East crisis and a possible short-term ceasefire in Ukraine in early May. The Kremlin said that Trump supported the ceasefire idea. The White House had rejected Russia's offer to help on the issue of Iran's nuclear program. Daria Bondarchuk reports from Moscow.
President Putin called President Trump to discuss the Iran war and a possible ceasefire with Ukraine, the Kremlin foreign policy aide said, describing their conversation as friendly, frank and businesslike. Putin confirmed he'd be ready to announce a temporary truce for the annual celebration of the World War II victory over Nazi Germany, which Russia marks on May 9. According to the Kremlin, the American leader actively supported the initiative. Putin's spokesman later said the dates and the duration of the short-term truce are yet to be decided on. President Trump said while he encouraged Vladimir Putin to conclude his war in Ukraine, he rebuffed Moscow's offer to help on the issue of the Iranian nuclear enrichment program. Daria Bondarchuk, Moscow.
The European Commission has accused Meta of failing to keep underage users from accessing its services. The tech giant rejects the allegations but could face the prospect of hefty fines if the Commission's findings are confirmed. William Denslow reports from Brussels.
The European Commission accuses Meta of falling short of its own terms and conditions by not adequately preventing children under 13 from accessing Facebook and Instagram. The EU says there are no effective controls to prevent users from simply entering a false date of birth when creating an account. Meta rejects this, saying that it has mechanisms in place to flag and remove anyone using their platforms that are underage. This is a preliminary finding, but the tech company could face a fine of up to 6% of its total annual turnover if the Commission's findings are confirmed.
And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to visit the UAE in May as New Delhi works diplomatic channels to secure its energy interests. This comes after the UAE announced its exit from OPEC, a move that analysts say could help India secure a cheaper crude oil supply. Ishan Garg tells us more from New Delhi.
Reports say India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi could make a quick stopover in the UAE during his trip to Europe later in May. What seems like a last-minute visit comes after experts said UAE could become crucial for India's energy security as its oil production will no longer be capped by OPEC quotas. The Gulf nation could hit peak production of over 5 million barrels per day in the long run, and if it's able to supply its oil through overground piped network via the coast of Gulf of Oman, it could help New Delhi reduce reliance on oil shipped through the now blocked Strait of Hormuz. Ishan Garg, New Delhi.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
I know I shouldn't, but these muffins are delicious.
And we'll share our favorite recipes later in the hour, but first our guest says don't give in to road rage. Stay calm behind the wheel and coolly plot your road revenge. Danny Preston is a defensive driving instructor who teaches people how to control their temper behind the wheel. Welcome, Danny.
Thanks for having me.
Danny, there's nothing I hate more than getting cut off.
That drives me nuts. I want to scream out my window.
Getting into an argument with a stranger isn't going to accomplish anything but stress you out.
Well, how should you respond instead?
In 1996, some guy gave me the middle finger after I cut him off. I recognized him from TV. That's when I decided to become a defensive driving instructor, developing the skills I needed to eventually be invited on his show as an expert. Now, once you're there, it's just a simple matter of switching out his muffins with the ones you made yourself. How many did you eat?
What? I don't know.
Thank you so much for sharing your tips, Danny.
Danny is not my true name.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. Am I really loud? Like it sounds
not
loud
in my
to me.
ears.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, you got your stuff plugged in the wrong spot holes, man.
Yeah, so the plug at the bottom sounds like you're like everybody's like clipping or whatever it's called, or like sounding real loud. So sorry about that, listeners. This is Free Talk Live, and with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie. Chad. Oh, you're muted. Sorry. Wow, I thought I unmuted you.
I'm Chad. And Richie Rich.
And Mark Edge, remotely.
And you can call 603-283-6160 to get in on the conversation with us. That's 603-283-6160. And on Free Talk Live tonight, we have lots of things to talk about, but Mark wanted to say something about the Armenian genocide.
Great. Not this again.
What?
The Armenian genocide again.
How long has it been, Mark?
About 100 years, a little over 100 years. So the Armenian genocide is this situation that took place about 110 years ago, 1915, 1916. And at the time, about 1.5 million Armenians lived in the Ottoman Empire. This is the end of World War I. Ottoman Empire is beginning to fall apart. As you know, I'm sure from history class, then the Turks kind of took over. They created Turkey, and then much of the land fell to the Soviets, and including Armenia. But at least 600,000 Armenians were killed, and possibly double that. It's hard to know.
Wow, it's like, in my mind, I always thought the Ottoman Empire ended way longer ago than the 1900s.
No, I think that it feels old, doesn't it? And
yeah.
It was called the Old Man of Europe. is what they referred to the Ottoman Empire. And why it was still around is really beyond me. But like so many things, the English got involved and kind of, weakened the Ottoman Empire from the inside. You've heard of Lawrence of Arabia?
Yeah,
heard of him.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that confuses me is when they switch up AD and BC. It's like, honestly, I'd prefer that, and I don't even believe Jesus was ever born. So it says that it started off in C 1300. Is that BC or AD? That's AD?
C, it's Common Era.
Okay, well, they need to
Era,
make it
CE.
like CE then.
Yeah.
That just says C. Maybe that's a stupid AI answer problem, but anyways, that's a long time. 1300 to 1900.
That's right. It lasted a very long time. And when I was in Armenia recently, a few months ago, I think it was October, doing some traveling.
With Kim Kardashian?
I was smuggling Russian women out of Armenia.
Bring me one next time you come back.
What happened was I went on a hike, and I'd done several things that I needed tour guides for, but I brought a tour guide on the hike. By the way, if you're in foreign countries, this is great. I have never regretted paying the pittance that it costs to get a tour guide to take you to some really good hiking location, because they know the best spots and they know the best route. You don't get lost, and they often bring a little food. It's just a much better experience if you go with somebody. And of course, the US dollar, as strong as it is, it's like $15 to have somebody go on a hike with you. So
you can tip them a nickel if
better.
they quit their job.
It's ridiculous. So mean.
It is ridiculous. So anyway, on the way home, this lady was talking about the Armenian genocide and basically how much she hates the Turks.
My German friend said the same thing. I was
What?
like, my German friend said the same thing. I was like, Safira, that's racist, but she told me they were raping people.
They do that in
Well, the
every
Turk-
culture. You have to hate everybody.
Well, I don't have a lot of answers for your German friend. Haven't been raped by any Turks in Germany, but I did get to talk to this lady about her experience, just sort of her experience hearing about the Armenian genocide, because nobody's alive that's experienced the Armenian genocide. And more or less, Armenians in eastern Turkey were kind of wiped out, had their property stolen from them, and were driven into sort of more historical Armenia. Or historical Armenia is way bigger than current Armenia, I guess is what I should say. And so what I wanted to talk to her about is kind of forgiveness and moving on. Because no matter what she thinks, and my philosophy centers around what you can do in your life, not it's just sort of, if every Armenian hated Turks twice as hard, maybe we'd get some kind of check from the Turkish government, which is basically what they want.
And the Turkish government says it didn't happen, right?
Sure, because if they did say it happened, and by the way, I talked to a Turkish friend about this prior to talking to this woman.
Those lying Armenians.
No, what he said was, yeah, it probably happened, but if we admitted it, they just want a check. And we don't have money for a check.
There's
We're
lots of
broke.
people that want checks in America, and we just don't give it to them.
Correct.
So, I mean, you can admit it and just not give them a check.
The Hawaiians.
Well, my one Turkish friend admitting it, and he'd be happy to, I'm sure, isn't going to do anything, right? And this is the point that I'm trying to make to the listeners and to this lady, is just sort of, nothing you're going to do is going to make a difference. And you're holding all this hate in your heart for nothing. And she went off.
The Armenians will rise again.
Her mind. And this story isn't about Armenians. It's about Palestinians.
Oh. I thought you were going to say it's about everyone.
What a twist.
Well, everyone who needs to forgive.
Well,
It's
is
about
about
the
everyone who needs
Ukrainians.
to forgive and everyone who needs to move on.
Yeah.
It's about the
Because
Iranians.
There's nothing the Palestinians are going to do
that's horrible.
that's going to move the Iranian government. There's nothing that the Cubans that fled Cuba in the 1960s are going to do to set things right about what happened with when Batista fell and when Castro came in.
Definitely not with that attitude.
And that's right. It's exactly right.
But the Palestinians are currently under attack.
Hard enough, then we'll get something back. And then
they're currently under attack. But like when it's done, they should just forgive and forget and move on.
The point is they're not done, though. I mean, they're trying to actively stop this from happening to them.
Just wait till they're done.
Mark, I thought that you were anti-forgiveness and Ian was pro-forgiveness, and I'm like really confused.
No, I'm absolutely pro-forgiveness.
I need someone anti-forgiveness on my side. Just kidding. Not anti.
Ian forgives people who are actively trying to harm him. And I'm not for that.
Now you're just talking about like the time scale, though, right? You'll forgive after the fact, and Ian will forgive like during the event.
Israel is actively trying to harm Palestine, like Chad said.
Yep.
Yeah. So just wait till it's done, and then have Palestine forgive Israel, and we're good.
But I do agree with you on...
I don't know. Here's the one thing I can't figure out about Palestine is... If I was an individual Palestinian, because remember, I don't care about Palestinians and I don't care about Israelis. I don't care about Americans. I don't care about Turks and I don't care about Armenians. What I care about is you and me and anybody who's listening and how we can make our lives better and freer. And my question is, can Palestinians not leave? Because I know a lot of Palestinians and I've met a lot of Palestinians who are not in the Gaza Strip.
Leave a mile from where they lived.
Well, and the surrounding countries that you would expect to like absorb them don't want them either.
Yeah.
Like they're stuck.
How did the rest get out?
Subterfuge.
You mean before this all started or during?
I don't know when it happened, but I can tell you that people are like, hey, my family lost their property and all this stuff, and I'm mad. And I'm like, well, life in UAE is sure better than it would be if you were in Palestine defending your land. Oh yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah. Then you gotta get permission to enter the UAE. Right?
Getting to the UAE is pretty easy.
Yeah, but they don't want to take large numbers of them. So they're pretty much stuck where they're at. I mean, possibly small numbers could migrate, but then you're also going to be leaving behind your family, where you grew up, your entire way of life.
Where you grew up, that part just pisses me off. It's like, I'm a military brat. You can leave where you grew up, especially if it's like for the good of your children to survive.
Well, sure, but I mean, this is under extreme duress, right?
Yeah,
They're
I
being
get it. It would be sad, but if I was being forced out, it's literally happened to me. When somebody was pointing a gun at me, I walked out of my house. I put my dog down and I put my arms up and walked out of my house. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't understand. If I know there's multiple reasons they haven't left, and some of it is that people won't take them. But if it was nothing but it's their home, I would be like, you guys deserve it. I'm sorry.
That might be tactical as well, right? Huh. You surrender when all the guns are pointed at you, and then when you can mount, some retaliation, then you grab your gun and go back.
Well, what if they just don't want to? I mean, they have a right to live where they want to live, right? That's where they.
You do not have a right to live where you want to live.
Well,
Can you put up a tent in the studio?
Well, I mean, within reason, you can. No. I mean, I suppose if I wanted to try to do that, then you could force me out of the studio. But this is where they were born and where they have their houses.
Yeah, but the question is, would you have a right if I was like, no one's sleeping in the studio?
So this is
it comes down to money.
You have the right to attempt to live where you want.
The question itself becomes intractable when we start talking about large groups of people. And here's my statement. If I was a Jew living on the north side of the Gaza Strip and people wanted me dead so badly that they would have 4 children in the hopes that one of them would live long enough to drive a knife into my heart, I would sell my property for whatever I could get it for, and I would leave to some place where those people didn't live anywhere nearby.
When they finally got their promised land, they should just leave.
Well, their travel is restricted. I don't know if Israel would mind if they actually were to straight up say, I'm leaving, but then logistically, how could they possibly do it other than in small numbers? I mean, they're basically trapped in a prison.
Where would Mark go as a Jew that he wouldn't be like banished from or not welcome?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn? Okay.
Yeah, with the wire around the city.
Okay.
Isn't that
Brooklyn?
Brooklyn?
Manhattan.
Oh, okay, Manhattan. Well,
so the Jew promised land should be Brooklyn, New York.
Well,
let's get them all out of Israel and back to New York.
It's funny But think about this for a second. What if in 1939, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt turned away the ship of the damned and hundreds and hundreds of Jews ended up dead? What if he'd have welcomed them and said, hey, you know what? Jews are awesome. Bring me your Jews.
Well, then the Jews running the world wouldn't be a conspiracy theory. It'd just be American history.
I mean, what's the problem with letting intelligent, hardworking people into the United States?
Honestly, even better. They could all go to New York, and we can let New York secede. It can be called Israel. We don't have New York City on our hands, and Israel is just New York City like it already is.
Win-win.
Yeah, win-win. Buy New York City.
Hello, Israel.
Israel doesn't get to be in the Middle East. They can't reach their weapons there. They can't claim to be being attacked by the Middle Easterns. Well, I don't know. Maybe they'd turn it towards us. I don't know.
Yeah, they wouldn't want it.
And then the Palestinians would be just as useless as everybody who is in Jordan and most of these other places to sort of the world. And we wouldn't be fighting over this stuff.
They could import Palestinians to New Jersey and they could have their fights.
Why do we want people to have fights?
I'm joking about that part.
I know.
I don't think we want people to have fights. But so when you said your story about the Armenian genocide and the woman that needed to forgive was really about Palestinians, are you just saying they need to?
No, that really happened to me. The point I'm trying to make is that there has to be a point in your life when bad things happen to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You can insert bad thing. Lots of things happen to everybody, and I don't need to say the bad things that happen to me. But ladies and gentlemen, let you be assured, bad things have happened to me.
Darn hangnail last Sunday.
At some point, you just have to forgive.
Bad
and
waitress
move on,
in the
because
Caribbean.
Otherwise you let your enemy control your life.
Well,
right now, that lady's life is being controlled to some extent by dead Turks.
Well, what would you have the Palestinians do then? Like, what is within their power to do?
Leave.
When they're it's not, though. They can't.
You just said that. Leave. They go,
but they
just
can't,
move.
But they can't.
I don't know if they can that easily, honestly.
No,
but
they absolutely
I don't either.
cannot.
Plus, if they go to the UAE, Iran's gonna wait. Israel's going to bomb.
The Arab countries
Who
have
bombs
already
them?
said they're not going to take them, so they know that. That's on their
that's
side.
true. They
Egypt
won't take
definitely
them
said
all.
no.
But Palestinians are getting out every year. And I wonder to myself how many Palestinians are like, I'm never leaving.
Yeah, for some reason, the numbers of their population are going down. Somehow they must be getting out.
Well, they're
No,
dying.
their
too.
population is going up because they have lots and lots of kids. It's very, very high population density there.
Their population's
That's
still
right.
going
Hamas
up.
needs
Most likely.
soldiers.
I mean, I'm sure the war has dented that a bit, but I mean, there are millions
even
of them in
decimated
very
it.
small areas.
Wow.
Very, very small. And yeah, their infrastructure is completely destroyed.
I don't know if that means their numbers going up. I'd need to see proof of that. While they're like actively being poisoned and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know
because
about
they
that.
have lots of kids. There were not many Palestinians when the Israelis first went there. There's many, many, many more now.
Yeah, but
because
it's
they've
harder
reproduced.
to
It's peaks and valleys.
reproduce when you're being like attacked.
Right.
So I don't know about that.
So in
suppose they
times
managed
of
to do
peace,
it.
they have like dozens of kids,
Mhm.
and then Israel blows up half of them, and then they have dozens of kids, and then Israel blows up half of them, and so over time the number steadily goes up.
No, they don't know pain. God killed all of Job's children. I'm joking. My goodness.
You think Job wasn't even a Jew, right? Like this was before Jews. Job was the
Earliest book.
oldest book of the Bible.
Yep.
And
You're right.
it's
I was
this-
thinking he was a Jew.
He wasn't.
He wasn't.
I mean, the first Jew was the son of Abraham, right?
Well, he was the righteousest guy under Jewish God's sight. So in my book, basically a Jew. I don't know if he was circumcising his kids every time God would kill him and let him have more. I don't know how
Clearly
Jewish
not.
he was. Why do you say that? We don't know. If he was righteous under God's eye and God never changes, why did circumcision suddenly become a thing? Oh, because he changes.
Every tribe has its thing, right? Every tribe has this way to differentiate themselves from the other tribes. And, Americans, what is it? Patagonia? I'm not exactly sure, right? But every tribe has something. And for the Jews, it was circumcision. That was a way to show that they were different. But
Are they walking around
I don't
naked?
think that didn't come around pre-Abraham. I'd be willing to bet.
No, I don't actually think it came around pre-Abraham. I was kind of joking around about it. It's just like you said, was he a Jew? And I was like, wow, I don't know why. I never even thought about that. It's like it's not the first book in the Bible, as in they didn't put it in chronological order of when it was written, but it was the earliest book written. So you're totally right.
Earliest, yeah. I guess that's the way to describe it.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is all, when it comes to, I don't know the solution to the Israeli-Palestinian problem, but I do think that people who try hard enough can get what they're trying to get. And if getting out of Palestine, out of the Gaza Strip, whatever it might be, if you try hard enough, I think you can do it. Certainly, pretty much every Jew can just sell their property in Israel and leave if that's what they want to do. And the United States generally has a pretty good relationship with Israel. Getting here shouldn't be that difficult. And it's kind of, what if they threw a war and nobody came?
I don't like putting the onus on the victim. Right? Like Palestinians should just leave if they're being attacked.
I'm not sure. Okay, I'm pretty sure that the Jews who had their relatives killed a couple of years ago at that party, they probably consider themselves victims too. I don't
of their
like to
government
play
because
this
their
game.
government let it happen.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah,
Of
who
their
are
government.
the perpetrators of it?
Their government let it happen.
Okay, so now we're at the conspiracy theory where
well, they had
the
to
Israeli
have,
government.
because how else would Hamas have been able to breach the border, especially with things like hang gliders? And also, why would they attack a music festival as if they didn't realize that was going to turn the Israeli war machine directly on them? I mean, immediately after that, they bulldoze Gaza. I think it's pretty obvious that it's in Israel's interest to allow a meaningless attack on them in order to justify, bulldozing Gaza.
Also, that's not the start of the war, right? Like that's retaliation for something else that Israel perpetrated
retaliation
before.
for something else, which is retaliation for something else.
Yeah. So go to the beginning where Israel was handed land, right?
By England.
And said, like, here, just take it from these poor brown people, and European Jews did. Right?
What if Jews paid for the land?
In some instances, they did.
We talked about how it doesn't really matter if I don't want to sell my house and the city of Keene comes and says, like, I'm giving you $100,000. That's, first of all, like, under market. Even if they give me the exact number that it should sell for on the market, it's not valid to me.
This land was not taken. They were renters.
It was
bought from absentee landlords.
Okay, but what you sent me, there were absentee landlords, but there were also people that had to sell, and it said it's always been contested whether or not they actually wanted to sell their houses or were like forced to. It's literally like an eminent domain, which we talked about last time you were on as being bad. It's bad in America, good in Israel.
Domain is bad.
It's bad.
Yep.
The absentee landlord thing is just
so
odd.
Let's stop Jews and let's stop Palestinians. Let's say that theft is the responsibility of the thief. And let's hold the thieves responsible. Let's hold the murderers responsible. Let's hold the people who use violence and the violence of the state responsible.
The city of London?
Now, you see how intractable the problem is?
Just kidding.
Because if you just pick a side and you say, those darn Jews or those darn Palestinians, which either side can do legitimately, because if you let the Palestinians have their way, they would wipe out every Jew in Israel.
Well, and I would suggest with good reason at this point in history.
Okay. There you go.
Right?
Apparently,
just like your Armenian friend would like to wipe out every Turk, right? In retribution for...
I don't think she would. I think she just wants a check.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like there's probably some Armenians you would ask, and they'd say, "Yeah, if I could press a button, I'd wipe out every Turk." They talk about it every year. I mean, talk about this thing every year. Yeah.
Yep.
Not saying it's a majority. I don't know.
Okay, so now we're at 1915. I guess this is my question: is how far do we go back? How far do we go back for the world where Bonnie and the world try to set injustices right? Because my people were at one point owned by the Romans.
I'll be okay with you guys just letting the South secede.
So push a button and end all the Romans.
Who are they?
I don't know.
Some poor Italian guy trying to make a pizza right now has got to die.
No, yeah, I don't actually believe in reparations from the past or anything if I made that sound like that. And I was joking about the South too. I just knew that would set Mark off because it has before.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, give my family the farms that they stole. They literally stole farms from my family. The reason that Aristotelians aristocracy died was because they were being targeted, and they turned really poor people like my family. That's why I'm alive, because the poor people got to live and get turned into Union soldiers in some cases. Anyways, like, I'm totally changing it. There's all these different conflicts where people have been wronged, but at the end of the day, do I want random Yankees to have to give me money? Do I want to have to take the land out from under whoever owns that pig farm now?
Yes.
No, I'm saying no, because that would just be pro reparations, and I'm not. But for living people that can actually make what they did wrong right, I'm totally pro that. More Free Talk Live coming up. If you have any opinions on this, you can call in. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Shrinkflation was bad enough. Now skimpflation? I'm Holland Cook with Inflation Hacks. As the cereal box got thinner, Merriam-Webster Dictionary added the word shrinkflation. But at least you can see it by looking at unit price. Now an invisible ripoff. Skimpflation. When Smart Balance Spread reduced the share of vegetable oil by 40%, one customer complained that it spits all over when frying an egg and doesn't melt on toast. Maker Conagra quickly, quote, heard the feedback and decided to return to previous recipes. So it pays to squawk if, for instance, that 1,000-sheet roll of Scott toilet paper feels thinner. One shopper who weighed it and found it 20% lighter posted that quality has gone down the toilet. How are you coping? Post your inflation hacks at andyoucanquoteme.com.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. The Trump administration has signaled it won't abide by a law requiring it to seek congressional approval to continue the war with Iran once the 60-day deadline expired on Friday. The 1973 War Powers Act requires the president to start withdrawing troops from a conflict if Congress hasn't approved it within 60 days, or to request a 30-day extension. Tony Waterman has more.
The White House says for the purposes of this law, the hostilities with Iran have been terminated because the two sides haven't exchanged fire since the ceasefire began on April 7th, essentially hitting pause on the 60-day countdown. It's a completely novel interpretation of the law, which contains no such pause or ceasefire clause. Legal experts say it's unlikely to pass muster in court. Democratic lawmakers are also skeptical. But with Congress now in a recess for a week, it seems the passing of this deadline, which is meant to constrain a president's military power, will have no real consequences for now.
A man's been charged with attempted murder after two Jewish men were stabbed in North London on Wednesday. It comes as the UK's terror threat level was raised to severe, meaning officials believe an attack is highly likely in the coming months. There have been a spate of anti-Semitic attacks in the UK in recent months. Metropolitan Police Chief Mark Rowley says the threat level hasn't just been raised because of Wednesday's incident.
It's the wider context. We've got an increasing caseload in our counter-terrorism teams dealing with sort of Islamist terrorist activity. That's about 3/4 of the workload. Extreme right-wing terrorist activity. Obviously, there's a wider context of hostile states driving issues as well, which adds to that. That combined picture has tipped the threat level up a notch to severe, which means attacks are highly likely in the next few months.
During a 90-minute-long phone conversation, US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the Middle East crisis and a possible short-term ceasefire in Ukraine in early May. The Kremlin said that Trump supported the ceasefire idea. Daria Bondarchuk reports from Moscow.
President Putin called President Trump to discuss the Iran war and a possible ceasefire with Ukraine, the Kremlin foreign policy aide said, describing their conversation as friendly, frank and businesslike. Putin confirmed he'd be ready to announce a temporary truce for the annual celebration of the World War II victory over Nazi Germany, which Russia marks on May 9. According to the Kremlin, the American leader actively supported the initiative. Putin's spokesman later said the dates and the duration of the short-term truce are yet to be decided on. President Trump said while he encouraged Vladimir Putin to conclude his war in Ukraine, he rebuffed Moscow's offer to help on the issue of the Iranian nuclear enrichment program.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160 is that phone number to get in on the conversation with us. You can bring up whatever you want. You can change the subject. You can tell us we're wrong. You can talk about what we're talking about. It's up to you. 603-283-6160 is the phone number. And I'd like to thank Elizabeth for being an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. That means that Elizabeth went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. Thanks to Elizabeth and everyone who supports us. Again, that's amps.freetalklive.com if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of becoming an amplifier. And we do appreciate everyone who's an amplifier with us here on the show. And Mark, sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to say that I went to the Bitcoin 2026 event in Las Vegas, and Vegas is still Vegas. Although they added the Sphere, super duper awesome.
Oh,
I get at night, like night. In Vegas, night doesn't happen until like 3 a.m. I don't know what time night starts in Vegas because I was asleep during all of it. But they turned the Sphere into a moon.
Nice.
And then you can get these pictures early in the morning of this giant planet sitting in with palm trees in front of it. It's incredible. I really loved it. But I wanted to state a victory. We got about close to 100 signatures on Ian's petition.
Yes, at freeiannow.org.
And if you'd like to sign, I would recommend you go to freeiannow.org. In fact, I would beg you to go. I'm trying to get to 1,500 before this gets seen by the Trump administration. And 1,500 seems like so little, but we're almost there. So please go to freeiannow.org and sign the petition. The only reason Ian's sitting in prison right now is because, well, they wanted to silence him. I believe is the reason.
It's a little insulting that you haven't gotten to 1,500 when there's supposedly more than that number of free staters here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, a lot are not on like Twitter. It's like hard to reach them.
Okay.
Recently, somebody made a Signal group trying to put all free staters in it, and so many were leaving. And it's just like, well, maybe we need somewhere where we can talk to everyone at once. Wouldn't that be great? And people are like, no, I don't want to get notifications.
I mean, the Free State Project sends out emails. Can they be petitioned to send one out with the Free Ian Now blasted on it?
They haven't actually. Lots of people have told me at Liberty Forum that they heard about Ian's thing from my interview that Eric Brakey did with me on his Porcupine Report, and he like emails out about his Porcupine Report. So they at least have once before, but that's a good point. Maybe we can ask them to do it again.
So President Trump is actually going to look at it once it hits 1,500. Like, is that?
No, that's not the criteria. President Trump is probably somewhat aware of Ian's petition at this point. The reason being is there's a candidate for the Senate who's advocating for him. Now, I don't know the relationship here, but it seems like Trump has every reason to want to win every single state, and to make that as easy as possible, actually freeing Ian might make that a bit easier. So
win every state in the midterm elections, you mean?
Correct.
And
every state that he can.
Angela McArdle has some connections to be able to get messages to Trump too, right?
Yep. So, and I suspect she has gotten a message about Ian there already.
Yep.
Basically, if Trump doesn't get 49, it doesn't have 50 senatorial seats, he's going to go to prison.
So, bold statement there, Mark.
He might get impeached, and then he might go to prison.
Richie,
what? Go ahead.
Let's game it out. How about this statement? This is a for sure statement. The Democrats get to decide.
Wait, do you want to make it a bet with Richie Rich?
I'm not going to make a bet.
Okay.
I'm just going to make a statement that's true. I'll make a bet too. $10.
That true statement is racist.
Trump will win. That statement is racist. That true statement is racist. Here's my statement: the Democrats get to decide whether Trump goes to prison or not if the Democrats have 51 senatorial seats. And I suspect that's not a position that Trump doesn't want to be in. I suspect it's a position that you and I wouldn't want to be in. Is just the Democrats or the Republicans getting to decide whether we went to prison.
Okay. So help me out because I don't remember the difference.
Yep. Between the Democrats and Republicans, it's not very.
No. One part of the legislature impeaches, and the other part holds the trial.
That's very good.
No, I didn't know all that.
Well, yeah, but help me out. Which is which?
So the House of Representatives impeaches, and the Senate holds the trial. The House of Representatives, most assuredly, is going to be won by the Democrats this.
Okay, so your statement is predicated on the House losing, the Republicans losing the House.
Correct.
And then, all right.
And he's already been impeached before, so he'll probably get impeached again.
Well, but the impeachments before, there was no follow through with it. There was no trial or anything. It was just, he's
I
been
figured
impeached.
he won the trial or something.
Or whatever.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Well, we have a caller in line, and I let him hold for a really long time, so I'm going to go to Turd Ferguson in Pennsylvania. You're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Well, before I say a quick clarification, it takes 2/3 of the Senate to convict in an impeachment trial, not just the plurality.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's very interesting. Thank you, Turd. I'm looking that up right now.
Yeah.
Before Mark looks it up, I accept his bet.
You can have $10 anytime you want. As I recall, the last time you took me to Doug and Buster's or whatever it was called.
Yeah, Dave and Buster's.
So, I owe you anyway.
Mark is like, you wouldn't believe the penance you have to pay people in New Hampshire for them to tour you to Dave and Buster's.
We went to dinner and then to Dave and Buster's, and Mark picked up the dinner tab. So we're far from even, and it's still in favor of Mark.
I was grateful. I had such a great time. I don't know what first-person shooter we played with those big guns, but it was awesome.
Yeah, it was probably Deer Hunter or something. Yeah, or Zombie Hunter. I don't remember either. But yeah, it was fun, and my hand was wrecked for weeks afterwards because I had something already wrong with my wrist.
Carpal tunnel?
Yeah, probably.
Carpal tunnel.
And I just was, pulling away at that trigger and had to wear a brace for 2 weeks.
What do you have to say for us, Turd Ferguson in Pennsylvania?
Well, first of all, Bring It On is a great movie. It's an amazing piece of art. And, Kirsten Dunst.
It's already been
Snow in
brought
that?
Huh?
Isn't Brittany Snow in that?
No.
A porn star?
But Kirsten Dunst is and Eliza Dushku is. They're both amazing. It's a live-action movie, by the way, but you could have fooled me several times. I thought it could have been a CGI because the jiggle physics are on point.
Okay.
I lost count how many times Kirsten Dunst's boobs bounced in the movie. Probably somewhere around 1,000, maybe even more.
Turd probably prefers Elijah Dushku in True Lies.
I prefer Eliza Dushku in The New Guy.
Okay.
There's a scene where she comes out of the dressing room trying on bikinis.
Okay.
For what's his face, the skinny guy.
What's the name of the movie we're talking about, you perv?
Go ahead, perv.
There's a few, but Bring It On was the primary movie we were discussing.
In True Lies, she's like 12, so.
Oh, okay, that's why I said that. Yeah, he probably prefers Kirsten Dunst in An Interview with a Vampire where she was 12. Kirsten Dunst.
She only looked 12. She was way older than 12 because she was a vampire.
Kirsten Dunst in Bring It On was like 20. But, it was just amazing. Oh, it's so good.
Is that all you really wanted to talk about?
Are you wearing pants right now?
No, of course not. I could go all night if you let me. But
that is what she said.
I thought he was answering you. But he was no, of course not. I can go all night if you let me. I was like, what do you mean? Okay.
It's well played that we both asked the question at the same time.
Yeah, we should do that more often.
Let the listener decide what he's talking about.
Do you actually have something else to talk about?
Well, look, Shrewsbury's amazing, but you know what I've noticed the past couple days? It just seems like more and more immigrants are coming to Shrewsbury, which I really don't like. Several times. I mean, when I went out to I thrift movies. My movie collection is basically entirely thrifted from the Goodwill. And
just do what Mark wants to do and beat them up, and then make them apologize.
Well, the problem. Well, look, I don't want any crime in Shrewsbury, but look, when I went there today to pick out, actually Bring It On, I was in the Goodwill earlier, and I noticed that like half the people in there were speaking Spanish. It's like, what the heck is going on here? And then so I bought my movie, and then I went to the gym as I normally do, and I ran my 2.5 miles. I didn't run the full 5 today. I wasn't feeling well. And I went to Walmart to buy, because I bought my groceries
to buy the DVD player
for dinner every day. I don't buy any groceries in bulk because everything's fresher when you buy it one day at a time. So I went
They're
to
never
Walmart
fresh
to
when you
pick
buy
out
them at Walmart.
Well, trust me, they got. I mean, all the meat in there is fresh. All the veggies are fresh. It's good. It's that's what I call quick logistics.
Their
When I went to
refrigerator is
Walmart-
way better than your refrigerator at home.
Well, I'm just saying, every
know,
time I go to like a produce in a Walmart, the Walmart in Kansas is not a super Walmart, so maybe I'm forgetting. I've always just thought it was like crap, and I preferred HEB in Texas.
And not only do we have a I live in Shrewsbury, right? And so everybody comes to Shrewsbury on the weekends anyway. So I'm hoping I'm mistaken, but we have the best. They've got misters in the produce section. Like that's the level of Walmart that we're at here.
So what did you want to say about?
Is that a high level of Walmart or a low level of Walmart where you get squirted when you go into the produce?
It's a the highest.
I was wondering. Yeah,
I think the presumption is ludicrous that they replenish their stock on a daily basis with fresh stock.
I don't know. It's pretty quick around here. It's at least maybe not daily, but everything's fresh, and the truck comes at least 2 or 3 times a week around here. I mean, we got.
I was there one time when the truck came when the truck came and the truck driver was talking to the produce manager and he told the produce manager, these apples are from last November. Yeah. And the produce manager was like, I want fresh apples.
Well, you only harvest them once a year, man.
That's one of the reasons why you don't live in New Hampshire. But anyway, I went there and God forbid, like even when I was just walking in, there's a Spanish guy walking in and Spanish people leaving. They said hi to each other like they lived each other in the third world country forever. Dude,
Mexico's not a third world country, and besides, Spanish is the least of your worries. Like they are basically from the same. I mean, wait, they are from the same continent as you.
But Bonnie,
don't complain about Spanish.
Right, but
it'll make everything else seem ridiculous.
I've got a better question here, Ferguson. There is. What do you call these people? Ferguson? Like, what's the way you refer to them? Because I've had a very difficult time coming up with a good term that describes everybody that I want to describe. Is it Hispanic? Is it Latin American? Is it Latin? What term do you use?
Brownies.
I don't care where they're from. They're all if they come in and they're 90% statistically likely to vote Democrat, then they're all immigrants to me, and I don't care where they're from.
Is that the Cubans? The Cubans are more likely to vote Republican.
No, because Cubans, they can bring up Camila Cabello 100 times over. I'll be good with it. Because
she's a good example. She's really pretty. In fact, she's probably prettier than the one that everybody's obsessed with that played Marilyn Monroe. Even though I think she's pretty, Ana de Armas. Everybody's obsessed with Ana de Armas. I think Camila Cabello
she's also Cuban.
Might be prettier. That's why I brought her up.
Oh, they're so beautiful. My heart is in Havana.
My guess is that Spaniards probably vote Republican slightly more often.
Well, Spaniards are from Europe. Latin Americans are from Latin America. But anyway, the point is...
You wouldn't know the difference if you're
Latin
talking.
Americans are definitely from Latin America, but are Latins from Latin America? Because
Latin is a big place there. So I don't know.
This is the point that I'm trying to make. Is this is difficult to find a good term for these folks? Is there a term that could describe? Because Hispanic describes the Spanish, the people from the Canary Islands, and the people from all of Latin America. However, Latin American doesn't describe those people.
Well, if they're fat and tan and wrinkly, then they're probably Latin Americans.
Why are you trying to find one word to collectivize all these people, Mark?
I just want a term.
But
use a different term for a different.
Do people actually get offended when you say Hispanic, like in Honduras? It sounds like that covers it, right?
Hispanic just means Spanish speaker.
People in Latin America are rarely offended by anything. They're just, they're just the kind of people that call fat people fat and skinny people skinny and white people white and Jewish people Jews.
Bald people bald. They have a word for bald people in Mexico.
It should be. I'm digging this.
Baldies?
You're speaking my language.
I don't know. I feel that's not as official.
Okay.
Official.
Yeah, well, the problem that I've got with them is that look, I love Shrewsbury, and I don't like the Republicans, but I hate the Democrats even more. And if they're going to come in here and raise my property taxes, I mean, look, my property outlook, Shrewsbury's amazing, so I don't mind paying a little bit more. But my property taxes, realistically, are already pretty high.
Wouldn't that mean they were raising the value of your house?
Well,
value is subjective.
the value of my house is already raising enough every year as it is. I don't care.
But isn't
much. I'm
that
not
what
speculating.
property taxes are based on? Not like people moving in?
Yeah, depends.
Not always. I mean, they could be based on the increasing of the budget. And look, we pay, and here's the other thing. We pay a lot of money for the schools around here, and there aren't enough hot teenage girls in this town to justify it, in my opinion.
Okay.
But
he's in Shrewsbury. Got to move to where the hot girls are.
Yeah. Why don't you go to Maryland or somewhere where you'll get arrested?
well,
Miami.
Well, it's all, I mean, I imagine it's all the same. But look, I don't know if I get around. I don't know if I'm doing anything illegal. But look, I
just go to Miami and help the Cubans off the boat. Keep a fresh one for yourself.
I honestly bet the random Cuban girls you see on the side of the road are even more beautiful than like the ones that make celebrities. Like everybody that becomes a celebrity, it's like, you're beautiful, but like there's tons of girls that went to my high school and more beautiful than you, and everybody's like falling all over themselves. Like Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney's not one of the most beautiful people on the planet just because she has like big fake boobs.
Okay.
She might be one of the most beautiful women on the planet because she can certainly sell jeans.
That has nothing to do with objective beauty. Like, because people are like, yeah, she's my Republican.
Her face is not symmetrical enough.
Wait, I think Turd agrees with me on this. I don't want to unmute him if he disagrees with me on this.
Wow.
Fine, Turd.
Cherry picking opinions here.
Turd, do you agree with me on the Sydney Sweeney thing that she's like kind of ugly and kind of looks like something's wrong with her?
No, I don't agree with that.
Bye, Turd. Have a good night.
Yeah, I probably could have told you that. He was fawning all over her a few months ago.
I don't know why I thought that he hated her with me. It's just
and you watch the movie Christie and you go like, I just don't see it.
I just don't like to be lied to. It's not that I would see her on the street and be like, ew, ugly. But I don't like to be told this is like the epitome of beauty. And she has literally like eyes that look like they're like squished together. And she has a big fat nose that's like not in any way like pronounced or beautiful. She's just like very plain, and she has thin hair, and she has no hips, even if she has the biggest boobs on the planet. Like, I mean, there's some people that just care about nothing but boobs. Okay, they will like anything. Then they will like absolutely the most disgusting dog on the street. See what I mean?
As long as it has good boobs.
I see some hips here. I'm trying to look. I had to look Sydney Sweeney up.
Hollywood.
I'm sorry, I don't know more about her.
Look up Sydney Sweeney on the beach, because if she's not posing, she's not in a advertisement for jeans. I feel bad making Dave Ridley hold for this, of all people.
I'll tell you what, I don't look that great on the beach either.
I'm going to pick up the phones, or go to the phones. Dave Ridley in Colorado, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, you guys already reported on the, I guess the state, New Hampshire, ended its vehicle inspection program, but then the federal government said they weren't allowed to.
Has there been an update?
Yes, there is a major update. If you haven't already reported it, the federals reversed themselves and said, okay, federal appeals court said the district court was completely out of line, and the New Hampshire can move forward with ending its vehicle inspection.
Move forward as in it's already happened and they couldn't do anything about it anyway.
That may be correct, because the state had already taken some steps and they were doing a lot of things. And
yeah, it expired in like January. Like January was the last month, and then every report I saw from state officials was like, the law doesn't exist anymore. There's nothing to repeal or walk back or whatever. You just don't have to.
I can't believe this was 3 days ago, and I haven't heard anybody talking about this. This should be really big news. State wins round in federal court over New Hampshire car inspections. Does that mean it's not over, maybe?
What car inspections are they referring to? When you register your car or something?
No, you have to get it inspected in addition to registering.
How often?
Once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah, on your birthday.
We already don't have that in Michigan. So
yeah,
why
they don't
would
have
the
it in
federal
Wyoming
government
either.
Step in?
The reason the federal government stepped in is because this company that was involved in the inspection somehow sued the state in order to...
They filed an injunction.
Yeah.
Because they were going to lose revenue.
Because they were going to lose revenue. They were like, hey, this isn't fair because we're going to lose revenue, so you can't end the state inspections, even though the government of New Hampshire voted to end it, and the people wanted it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And there was some EPA involvement as well. Like, you by ending the inspections, you're no longer in compliance with some EPA regulation.
Well, we already aren't in Michigan.
Because it was New England. is the reason. Because New England is the heart and soul of big government. And the idea that a state within New England would tell, their inspectors to just go take a hike, that's what was really upsetting. Hey, if we lose New England, we lose everything. And they lost New England.
There's a lot of states that don't have the safety inspections, and New Hampshire is now one of them.
I don't know. I didn't know it was most, honestly. In Texas, it was literally something that made me cry. I'm not even joking, like actually cry whenever I was like, I thought I was doing okay, and now I have to go pay the stupid several $100 thing. I have to waste a whole day doing it where I could be doing Uber Eats and making money instead. It was literally like kicking someone when they're down, or like kicking someone when they're just now getting back up, like stealing from me for no freaking reason.
So in Hawaii, they had inspections, and eventually I stopped getting my car inspected. And the reason was there was 1 year that I went down to get my inspection done, and I drove a beater, and my right side mirror was taped into place because if I didn't put tape on it, the mirror would wiggle, and I couldn't use it as a mirror because it would wiggle out of place. So I taped it on there, and I go down, the guy goes like, you can't have tape on the mirror. I go, what do you mean? If I take the tape off the mirror, I can't use the mirror. Like, this is stupid. He goes, well, the rules say you can't have tape on the mirror, but you can have no mirror. And I went, so tape on the mirror, bad. No mirror. I walk out of here with a past safety inspection.
Idiocracy.
Right. And he goes, yup. And I booted my mirror like halfway across the parking lot. I just kicked it off. I went, no mirror. And he goes, passed. And so I had my inspection for a year. And then I went back the next year to the same guy. And he goes like, you need a mirror.
Oh my God.
I was like, clearly you don't remember me. Let me refresh your memory. I'm the guy who last year you said, mirror or no mirror. And I kicked my mirror halfway across the parking lot. He went, oh yeah, I remember you. Rules have changed. Mirror.
Oh my God.
And I drove off, and that was the last time I ever had a safety inspection in Hawaii. I was like, I'm not doing it.
No.
So what will they do? You just can't register your car?
They could pull you over for it because you have a sticker. Because like in Texas, at least, there was like a sticker you put onto your license plate that showed that you had been inspected that year or whatever. So like whenever that was running out.
Inspection in Texas. In Texas, it's an emissions inspection.
I don't know if it's only. Maybe it's both or something. Because
either way,
think so.
I have unpaid tickets in Hawaii for no registration and no inspection. Because screw them, right? I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not paying.
Yeah. I never got pulled over once in Texas, and I felt like it was like, oh, it's gonna happen. Like, you gotta get everything done in time, and it's gonna be like really bad if you don't. And it's like, maybe I could have just like not done a lot of things because there's so many people. It's like you just get overlooked. Like, you don't get pulled over constantly because there's like so many cops on the road. Like in New Hampshire, there's just so many cops on the road for so few people.
Yep.
Like real human being people instead of cops. Anything else for us, Dave Ridley?
Well, two things. I guess, first of all, the next step will be, whether this gravy train company, the one that lost some of its gravy train as a result of not being able to force everyone to do, vehicle inspections. This company wasn't forcing everyone to do it, but they were benefiting from the fact that everyone was being forced to have vehicle inspections, and the state was using this company. So if they continue suing, if they take it up to the Supreme Court, it could go back the other way. But again, none of this will be a problem if New Hampshire were independent, and if we have a fairly strong independence movement, and we have put independence legislation in front of the legislature a few times. But if we had an even stronger independence movement, that would be enough to deter the federal government, I think, from playing these kinds of shenanigans with it.
Nice. I hope that more state reps end up going and putting it on, putting in another bill in or something to secede from the union, because I think it keeps them on their toes. More Free Talk Live coming up. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Some of you have wanted to support Free Talk Live's mission on a monthly basis, but don't want to support Patreon. Now we have an alternative that also helps our premier streaming platform, Odyssey. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click join at the top of the channel. You can subscribe for $5 per month, and unlike other subscription services, Odyssey adds their processing fee on top, so it'll cost a little over $5 per month, but Free Talk Live will receive the entire amount you pledged. Higher donation tiers are available if you're feeling so inspired. You'll get a special membership badge that's visible in the Odyssey chat room, and if we get enough supporters, we may enable members-only chat. This new subscription method is a great way to decentralize our direct listener support away from just Patreon and also support a libertarian-run business, Odyssey. Please visit video.freetalklive.com and click Join to subscribe to our Odyssey channel and help support spreading our message around the planet. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click Join today.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. The Trump administration has signaled it won't abide by a law requiring it to seek congressional approval to continue the war with Iran once the 60-day deadline expired on Friday. The 1973 War Powers Act requires the president to start withdrawing troops from a conflict if Congress hasn't approved it within 60 days, or to request a 30-day extension. Tony Waterman has more.
The White House says for the purposes of this law, the hostilities with Iran have been terminated because the two sides haven't exchanged fire since the ceasefire began on April 7th, essentially hitting pause on the 60-day countdown. It's a completely novel interpretation of the law, which contains no such pause or ceasefire clause. Legal experts say it's unlikely to pass muster in court. Democratic lawmakers are also skeptical. But with Congress now in a recess for a week, it seems the passing of this deadline, which is meant to constrain a president's military power, will have no real consequences for now. Tony Waterman, Washington.
A man's been charged with attempted murder after 2 Jewish men were stabbed in North London on Wednesday. It comes as the UK's terror threat level was raised to severe, meaning officials believe an attack is highly likely in the coming months. There have been a spate of anti-Semitic attacks in the UK in recent months. Metropolitan Police Chief Mark Rowley says the threat level hasn't just been raised because of Wednesday's incident.
It's the wider context. We've got an increasing caseload in our counter-terrorism teams dealing with sort of Islamist terrorist activity. That's about 3/4 of the workload. Extreme right-wing terrorist activity. Obviously, there's a wider context of hostile states driving issues as well, which adds to that. That combined picture has tipped the threat level up a notch to severe, which means attacks are highly likely in the next few months.
During a 90-minute-long phone conversation, US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the Middle East crisis and a possible short-term ceasefire in Ukraine in early May. The Kremlin said that Trump supported the ceasefire idea. The White House had rejected Russia's offer to help on the issue of Iran's nuclear program. Daria Bondarchuk reports from Moscow.
President Putin called President Trump to discuss the Iran war and a possible ceasefire with Ukraine, the Kremlin foreign policy aide said, describing their conversation as friendly, frank and businesslike. Putin confirmed he'd be ready to announce a temporary truce for the annual celebration of the World War II victory over Nazi Germany, which Russia marks on May 9. According to the Kremlin, the American leader actively supported the initiative. Putin's spokesman later said the dates and the duration of the short-term truce are yet to be decided on. President Trump said while he encouraged Vladimir Putin to conclude his war in Ukraine, he rebuffed Moscow's offer to help on the issue of the Iranian nuclear enrichment program. Daria Bondarchuk, Moscow.
The European Commission has accused Meta of failing to keep underage users from accessing its services. The tech giant rejects the allegations but could face the prospect of hefty fines if the Commission's findings are confirmed. William Denslow reports from Brussels.
The The European Commission accuses Meta of falling short of its own terms and conditions by not adequately preventing children under 13 from accessing Facebook and Instagram. The EU says there are no effective controls to prevent users from simply entering a false date of birth when creating an account. Meta rejects this, saying that it has mechanisms in place to flag and remove anyone using their platforms that are underage. This is a preliminary finding, but the tech company could face a fine of up to 6% of its total annual turnover if the Commission's findings are confirmed.
And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to visit the UAE in May as New Delhi works diplomatic channels to secure its energy interests. This comes after the UAE announced its exit from OPEC, a move that analysts say could help India secure a cheaper crude oil supply. Ishan Garg tells us more from New Delhi.
Reports say India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi could make a quick stopover in the UAE during his trip to Europe later in May. What seems like a last-minute visit comes after experts said UAE could become crucial for India's energy security as its oil production will no longer be capped by OPEC quotas. The Gulf nation could hit peak production of over 5 million barrels per day in the long run, and if it's able to supply its oil through overground piped network via the coast of Gulf of Oman, it could help New Delhi reduce reliance on oil shipped through the now blocked Strait of Hormuz. Ishan Garg, New Delhi.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
Hollywood's biggest stars are rallying for a good cause this week with the Save Our Children campaign. Celebs like Jessica Simpson, Brad Pitt, and Gwyneth Paltrow headlined a charity event to help their suffering kids who desperately need a chance to live a normal life. Angelina Jolie talked to Starfix about the charity, saying, quote, "You don't have to be a mother to want to help my children, many of whom are not getting a proper education. If you look at the numbers, 1 in 5 of my children will struggle with drug problems." Joining us now is a representative from the charity, Julie Harrison. Julie, it was such a great cause.
Absolutely. We're talking about children who don't have any positive role models. They're born into a life they didn't ask for. And if the state's not going to step up and help these kids, it's time someone did something.
Here's a quote from Victoria Beckham, and I found this powerful. "It breaks my heart to think about these kids living somewhere in my house with no hope for a happy future. Who knows if they even have food to eat?" Julie, according to your group's website, a staggering number of STARS children are being exploited growing up without parents.
Right.
This is the Onion News Network.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. That means you can call in with whatever is on your mind. You can call 603-283-6160 to bring up whatever is on your mind on Free Talk Live. And Forkfest 2026 is happening this June 22nd to the 29th at the Northern Waters Outfitters Campground in Errol, New Hampshire. The owner has offered to host 100 campers at his campground, which is being closed just for Forkfest. Anyone who would like to stay in the surrounding area may come for a day pass for free. The only real restriction he's given us for this event is no nudism, which I think we can deal with. That's not that hard. I think we can deal with one restriction. And if you'd like any more info, you can go to forkfest.wtf or forkfest.party.
Oh.
Forkfest.wtf is the new one that former, I don't know what he went by. Oh, did the person who owns LibertyMinded.com go by his real name
Johnson?
on the show? Yeah.
He went by Johnson.
Okay, so Johnson from formerly of Free Talk Live.
Johnson.
He made a new Forkfest website, forkfest.wtf, and it's much nicer. And even Chris Wade said it's much nicer, so I don't feel mean or anything. And you can also you can email Forkfest, that's FORKFEST, 2026 at gmail.com to sign up as one of the 100 campers. It's $10 per night per person, and it's going to be a really fun time. Chad and his girlfriend and a couple of our other friends. We went up to the campground just yesterday and checked it out. And it's right on the water, and it looks like it's going to be so fun too.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there. I think it's going to be a really good time, and we still have quite a few slots open. Mm-hmm. And if you don't want to stay at the campground, there are hotels and other accommodations around the area as well.
And the whole area is really beautiful. And a girl that's kind of a local that we're hanging out with there, she said that in the winter, nobody lives there unless they're hunkered down in their house, and otherwise they fly out at the first opportunity they can to get out of there, and they have winter cars parked somewhere in another part of New Hampshire or something to get out of there. It's that north, and we're higher up than Toronto. When you're up there, you're more higher latitude than Toronto when you're up there.
What time zone are you in when you're up there?
Still Eastern.
Okay.
Even Maine is still Eastern.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's crazy. That's the furthest north I've ever been in New Hampshire yesterday.
Yeah, it was still pretty cold up there.
Yeah.
But by the end of June, it'll be warm.
Yes, by the end of June, it'll be warm.
Are we sure about this? Have you checked the historical records?
I think we have, actually.
Historically, It is warmer in June than right now.
90 degrees.
But that far north, though.
No, it's similar to PorkFest. We looked it up, and I was like, oh, that's totally fine.
All right.
Yesterday, it was in the 40s and raining on us. It's still beautiful. And there were actually still campers.
Yeah, I went back and took some video that we can start posting in some of the chats, too, for people to see what's going on up there.
Yep.
I think Errol's the only Errol in America.
Interesting. There was an Errol Street in San Antonio, and every time I saw it when I was doing...
certainly some Errol Streets, yes.
When I was doing Uber Eats, I was like Egg Roll Street. I'd always say that in my head. And then one day it became actually relevant to my life in a totally different state, thousands of miles away. We have callers on the line, so... as long as nobody else has anything they want to say about forkfest.wtf, then let's go to the phones. I think this is Skeeter, but unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Maybe the problem in Israel strikes at a much deeper problem with property ownership, which leads me to the topic I want to talk about. There's something inherently contradictory with most libertarians and something inherently credible with the communist argument against landlords. And I've developed an argument called evolutionary argumentation ethics to demonstrate the hypocrisy. I want to point out the performative contradiction that libertarians make when they criticize government as an inefficient monopoly on force by pointing out that your very own property system, the system that gives the current owner the right to transfer, allows for the same type of monopolistic inefficiency as the monopoly on enforcement.
So let me rebut that very quickly.
Sum up, the right to transfer
because
is the true problem.
We may look at the government as inefficient, which is fine.
The right to keep
Skeeter, you have to let somebody rebut what you're saying.
Maybe the Palestinians should be moved out of that land in order.
Okay, so go ahead and rebut it. Skeeter,
So
I
very quickly, libertarians will claim that the state monopoly and government is inefficient, but that's not like our main problem with the government in its existence. Right?
I don't even think the government is inefficient, to tell you the truth. I think that if you believe what the
libertarians will claim that the state.
Are you just repeating back what I just said?
But that's not.
Was that even on purpose? I'm going to hang up on you, Skeeter.
It's existed. I don't even think
If you're making a point when you're doing it, then it's one thing.
What do you say?
He's just playing back what I just said.
I'd have to drop him, unfortunately. Like, we tried to get through him. Sometimes he'll try to play something like maybe Richie Rich said like weeks ago that, he thinks contradicts what he's saying now.
Oh, he's trying to play something? I couldn't understand what the heck was going on.
No, he was playing my voice back.
Oh my
God.
I dumped him. It was so stupid.
The libertarian claim that the government is inefficient isn't our reason for hating the government, right? It's just one point that we make to try to get other people to hate the government with us.
It's like, well, we could do things better.
We could
by ourselves as
right.
one,
but that's not.
One point.
But that's
not
not the reason.
All.
Yeah, it's the theft.
It's not the moral foundation, right?
Yeah, it's not the moral foundation. Thank you, Bonnie. It's not the moral foundation. It's just one more point to get people on board. And you were saying, Chad, you don't even think they're inefficient.
No, I mean they're inefficient if you think that their goal is to provide services to you, right? But if their goal is actually to facilitate theft, they're actually quite efficient.
Yes.
You were in the military, right?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, I thought you were for some reason. My parents were in the military, and you run into inefficiency constantly. In fact, when you were talking about the guy who was like, no mirror, but you could kick it off, or you could have no mirror. Yeah. The next year, the rules changed. My dad had so many stories about that frustrated him so bad in the military, because it's just like they could get more things done, even for themselves, the military, if the government wasn't getting in their own way, because it's basically like HR lady on top of HR lady, but, military men instead.
Yeah.
Right, but the military is there often to give money to defense contractors. I mean, it's a giant gravy train, and there's including people in the military themselves making money off of this gravy train. And I think typically that what the government is doing is actually facilitating criminal activity. And
I guess that's
yes,
true.
they're not very good at providing services and taking care of the roads and everything else.
Filling
But
potholes.
what if that's not actually what they're trying to do? What they're actually, of course, they have to play lip service to that stuff, basically, so that people will want to, or so that they can try and justify what they're doing. But in the reality is that what they're doing is they're facilitating criminal activity.
And they have a lot of support for it.
It's probably true that the HR lady people I'm talking about in the military, that's just like a make work program too. So maybe you're right. Maybe they're doing exactly what they're meant to be doing, and it's just like making a bunch of work that's pointless and doesn't get anything actually done more efficiently. But they're all getting paid. So maybe that's a good point.
My sister works for the government, and I avoid that conversation at like every chance I get. I just don't care. I don't know what she does. I don't want to talk about it.
Nice.
But at one point in time, she did bring up, the whole budgetary thing. She's like, oh yeah, we have to throw out like all of our computers so we could order new ones for next year. Otherwise we lose our budget money. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to shut my mouth because I don't want to fight. I'm just home on vacation. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard,
Literally throw them away?
Just chuck them.
How many times have you heard this, though? I mean, this happens all the time.
I know.
With all kinds of government agencies. Silver Dave just told us one time, I think they call it a spend mission, where, he goes to these infantry troops as a Green Beret, right? And they just fire all their rounds off.
Yeah, mag dump. Yeah. Just to get more rounds because it's part of the budget.
Yeah, and then that means more money goes to defense contractors, right? Mm-hmm. And the defense contractors are powerful lobbyists and or just go in and out of government or bureaucratic positions themselves. So it's not really surprising. They're just stealing money, right? Essentially, that's what they're doing. I mean, these wars look at the war in Iran. I mean, obviously the United States military should be able to completely crush Iran, but they haven't been able to do it. Yet they've been spending an enormous amount of money. I mean, the Iranian military budget is $10 billion a year, so a fraction of what the United States spends. And now the United States has to rearm all of these missiles that they've wasted murdering innocent civilians over there. And they've objectively lost
at this point. It's not that it's like some kind of
Iran or the U.S.?
The U.S. The U.S. has lost. It's basically over, and Trump is still trying. It's actually like schizophrenic. They've just lost, and Trump is saying things like they're gonna have to make a deal or pay. It's like actually. Recently, he said that he'll destroy nuclear places again in Iran, and they said we'll do 4 times more. And I believe that they can and will.
So, just out of curiosity, on what grounds are you suggesting that the U.S. has objectively lost?
Because everything they've attempted to do, they've been squashed immediately, and that whenever they attack Iran, Iran attacks the surrounding Israel-friendly places more, and they can't get done what they've tried to get done, like that fighter that went in and got shot down. What they don't report is that they shot down more planes that went to go quote-unquote rescue that guy or those guys or whatever. Like, Iran was ready for this. The U.S. has lost. It's like just the 3rd loss in a row of the wars.
Well, have they lost, though? Because what do you think their goals truly were? Because they probably aren't actually going to come out in public and say exactly what they wanted to do, because it seems to me that it would be more than just a miscalculation, although I know often criticisms of the government revolve around the fact that they don't know what's going on and that they just had no idea, and from out of left field, Iran can just beat off the American attack, which is not. But what if going into this, Donald Trump, and who knows exactly what his prerogative is? What if he wanted to, for instance, drive up oil prices? And what if he wanted to harm the global economy? What if he wanted to waste money building more bombs.
That doesn't sound that.
And so then actually it's a win. And in the media, it doesn't seem so. I mean, it's the same thing with all these wars. Look at the war in Iraq. I mean, they sold that as what? You're going to get rid of the weapons of mass destruction? They weren't there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did they really not know that? Well, I highly doubt that. Especially given like the CIA, the testimony of people like Ray McGovern, and he was a CIA agent that was responsible for doing the exact kind of intelligence that Colin Powell used when he gave his address to the UN. I mean, it's nonsense. I mean, did they really think that creating an embargo and a blockade of Iraq, starving to death 1 million people, and then bombing it was going to stabilize the region? I mean, is that really their goal? Because if you look at it through the lens that their goal was to stabilize the region and to bring freedom and peace and things like that, yeah, you could say it's a failure. I personally highly doubt that was their goal going into it. I think it's pretty obvious that their goal was to destabilize. And that's exactly what they did. So I think that's why I say I think they're very efficient. It's just they lie about what their goals are, and then everything just gets kind of played off as, oh, we're dumb. I mean, we're stupid. We can't get anything right. And it's just time and time again, people fall for it.
And like that doesn't sound that
so
far
Trump
off.
Is
considering
a patsy for his puppet masters.
Exactly.
They do always try to say like, oh, and he's just like so full of himself. He'll just do things, and it's like, could someone be that dumb though? Like, I believe what you're saying has some merit to it.
I mean, again, as you said, Chad, depending on the goal, right? Because there was some president of some other country that came out and said like, oil prices are at the whim of like whether Donald Trump wakes up in a good or a bad mood, right? He wakes up in a good mood and oil prices go down. He wakes up in a bad mood, tweets something out, and all of a sudden oil prices go up.
But that's
so
the exact like character I'm saying that they all paint him as, like this other guy you're talking about, the people on the news. They're like, can you believe he's just such a narcissist? It doesn't care what his actions, as long as it's like all about his whim.
No,
it could be exactly what he's saying. That's his WWE character that he has to play. But just
his
like
whim enriches his friends.
Mm-hmm.
Enriches them, and probably they have long-term goals, and those goals may not even align with what we think of as what would be American foreign policy in terms of what's good for Americans. What if his goals are in line with a group of people who are internationalists? What if the United States is a liability to these people for one reason or another? Because we don't know who these people really are behind closed doors. Like, nobody knows really who Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and all of these high-level bureaucrats and elected officials are behind closed doors. Yes, it could be that they're so stupid that they accidentally mess up absolutely everything they do, and those mistakes end up leading to them completely dominating the world, right? That could be the case. I think it's highly unlikely. I think the reason that they're so good and why America is so dominant, and really Western civilization in general, is because they don't make mistakes. And the things that are made off to be mistakes, because they can't just go and say, we want to create turmoil and genocide the Iraqis, and we're going to starve 1 million of them to death by an embargo. They're going to say, well, we're going to do an embargo on Iraq so that the people rise up, as if starving people are going to be more capable of rising up against their government than people who are well-fed.
That's also
we
an
gave
excuse.
them the guns. They kept the guns. They didn't use the guns.
That's an excuse they always use. And recently, Trump admitted to giving guns to the protesters in Iran. And the idea is like to cause destabilization.
And that's the same
playbook
they've always used.
But he claims that it's to help them because the Iraqi regime or Iran regime is so bad and Trump is just so good. But it's really just to cause destabilization. And honestly, it probably made the average Iranian like Islam even more, because the regime is the Islam side, and most Iranians were losing Islam, right? Islam was losing Iran. And in my opinion, it's just that's gonna turn around, and Iran is gonna become more like, we need to double down, stand together with our government, because they were doing that. They were waving the government's flags at the nuclear power plants.
Yeah, and who's to say that we know the actual prerogatives of the Iranian government either, and who are they actually in contact with within the United States? Because if there are groups of internationalists that are working behind the scenes, we don't have access to their meetings. We don't know who they are. I mean, that was my point earlier talking about Israel with Hamas and the Israeli Defense Forces, it seems to me that, like, in order for Hamas to be able to pull off such an absurd attack, right, using hang gliders to come across the most secure border, in history, they needed coordination. That seems obvious to me. They needed coordination with the IDF, and it makes sense because then that gave a justification for the IDF to then go in and actually bulldoze Gaza, right? And it seems like it makes more sense to me that they're working together in order to do that.
I don't know. I mean, what you're saying is that government at its highest level is efficient, whereas that government at its lowest levels is inefficient.
And they just don't care. They're you could say they're inefficient at providing services, but the reality is that they don't care about providing services. The things they care about, they're quite good at, and that's facilitating theft and criminal activity. Or it's an organized crime.
Pencil pushing.
That they're good at what they want to do.
Right.
And I haven't seen a lot of evidence in my life that the government is able to pull off with 10 times the money that they try to do, of the things they try to do. Now, I'm with you. There are some evil bastards out there, but I just don't know whether the evil bastards can make the government work or not.
When you say pull off, yeah, like if the goal like with Donald Trump, with Donald Trump, if the goal is enriching his friends by terrible foreign policy, right, at the expense of the average person, you're pulling it off pretty well.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that one I'm going to concede. That one's a pretty easy one to do. Is that if you nudge things in this direction, it's going to make me money, Don. If you nudge things in that direction, it's going to lose me money.
Well, then Biden funneling money through Ukraine, for the same reason.
And that's just thinking about the money. What about the actual strategy? What about the real geopolitics going on behind the scenes? Because a lot of these people have a lot of money already, and they have access to enormous amounts of capital already. And I'm just saying that what if the United States or a strong global economy in general is actually a liability to them for one reason or another? Like I said, we don't have access to know what they're talking about behind closed doors, but I'm just saying that seems to me like it could be a possibility.
And it feels
I'm
like
with you on that, but now we're to the point, that quickly comes to, well, COVID was released intentionally with the intention of creating, more billionaires and empowering people like that. And that's where I kind of feel like it loses the track. And this is the reason, is because no battle plan survives the fog of war, right? Like nothing works the way you want it to work generally. And once it comes in conflict with the people who don't want it to work the way you want it to work.
Well, it depends. Well, you have to know what their plan was to begin with. If it seems that way, yes. But if their goal was actually different, and that goal was actually achieved while they're claiming defeat in one way or another. I mean, as far as the COVID thing goes, I wasn't making any kind of an assertion about that. I don't think that I don't think COVID was released actually at all. That's definitely not what I think. But the point is that I think that if the result of what you see happening is most likely what they were planning on when they were planning it.
Action, reaction, solution, is that it?
Well, there's problem, reaction, solution is a little bit different.
No, but it seems a lot of the time like when you see that the news is talking about a problem, you're thinking to yourself like, oh, they want to do this. But in reality, we want this. And when you start asking for that, that might be what the goal was the whole time when they released the problem.
Right.
So it's like, I could see that what you're saying
this is standard operating procedure. It's just hard to prove because, again, they're going to lie in public and they're going to tell you the goal is one thing, and then they're going to come across and say, well, they'll have the other side of the aisle, whichever side is responsible for doing this, to criticize them and say they're stupid and say they're inefficient. And
that's
really,
just
it's a cop-out.
Talking.
It's a cop-out. It is a conspiracy.
How
literally.
could you believe that the European Union actually thinks that their people will be better off when they stop buying oil from Russia? Like, that's just ridiculous. They're going to absolutely have huge problems.
That's
very
your environmentalist
soon.
trying to move away from oil in general.
You think so?
With the windmills and solars and whatever, hydrogen.
They were hurting already several winters ago, and now with the gas prices the way they are everywhere else, I think that there's no way that you could do that and think this will be good for our people. Like, they just don't care.
Again, it's good in the long run because it moves people away from that source of energy.
I don't really think that the highest people up just actually are all in on global warming or something.
Unless they're invested in the new technology with their money.
Oh, I see what you mean. Maybe, sure, but I don't think that they actually believe.
Well, assume they have ulterior motives. I mean, I would just assume that, because I highly doubt that the things that they're saying in public are actually are true.
I agree with that
I think it's very rarely true.
Yeah. I mean, that much is true. You know they're lying because their lips are moving. And if you want to figure out why this is happening, follow the money. Those axioms, I think, are, 80+% time right.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yep. And they don't have to tell us anything, because the thing is, they don't actually represent us. They're not actually in any position where if they don't do what the people want them to do, they suffer in any way. It's not like, you can
suffer.
bring them.
We suffer. The people suffer.
Yep. The idea of bring Fauci to court, it's never going to happen. Even with Trump as president, it hasn't happened. It's never going to happen. These people never pay for the things they do to the people, because we're just pawns to them. More Free Talk Live coming up, 603-283-6160. That's where you can call to get in on the conversation with Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. Rising fees have made Bitcoin useless for purchases, but Dash continues to have fees less than 1 cent per transaction, and its features ensure Dash is undefeated as the most useful cryptocurrency in the marketplace. From a technical standpoint, Dash transactions are irreversible, and its network is protected from 51% attacks by their Chainlocks technology. There's no need to wait for a confirmation before considering a Dash transaction complete, so it's great for merchants. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol, and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at dash.org. Big thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit dash.org to learn about Dash. Dash.org.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. The Trump administration has signaled it won't abide by a law requiring it to seek congressional approval to continue the war with Iran once the 60-day deadline expired on Friday. The 1973 War Powers Act requires the president to start withdrawing troops from a conflict if Congress hasn't approved it within 60 days, or to request a 30-day extension. Tony Waterman has more.
The White House says for the purposes of this law, the hostilities with Iran have been terminated because the two sides haven't exchanged fire since the ceasefire began on April 7th, essentially hitting pause on the 60-day countdown. It's a completely novel interpretation of the law, which contains no such pause or ceasefire clause. Legal experts say it's unlikely to pass muster in court. Democratic lawmakers are also skeptical. But with Congress now in a recess for a week, it seems the passing of this deadline, which is meant to constrain a president's military power, will have no real consequences for now.
A man's been charged with attempted murder after 2 Jewish men were stabbed in North London on Wednesday. It comes as the UK's terror threat level was raised to severe, meaning officials believe an attack is highly likely in the coming months. There have been a spate of anti-Semitic attacks in the UK in recent months. Metropolitan Police Chief Mark Rowley says the threat level hasn't just been raised because of Wednesday's incident.
It's the wider context. We've got an increasing caseload in our counter-terrorism teams dealing with sort of Islamist terrorist activity. That's about 3/4 of the workload. Extreme right-wing terrorist activity. Obviously, there's a wider context of hostile states driving issues as well, which adds to that. That combined picture has tipped the threat level up a notch to severe, which means attacks are highly likely in the next few months.
During a 90-minute-long phone conversation, US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the Middle East crisis and a possible short-term ceasefire in Ukraine in early May. The Kremlin said that Trump supported the ceasefire idea. Daria Bondarchuk reports from Moscow.
President Putin called President Trump to discuss the Iran war and a possible ceasefire with Ukraine, the Kremlin foreign policy aide said, describing their conversation as friendly, frank and businesslike. Putin confirmed he'd be ready to announce a temporary truce for the annual celebration of the World War II victory over Nazi Germany, which Russia marks on May 9. According to the Kremlin, the American leader actively supported the initiative. Putin's spokesman later said the dates and the duration of the short-term truce are yet to be decided on. President Trump said while he encouraged Vladimir Putin to conclude his war in Ukraine, he rebuffed Moscow's offer to help on the issue of the Iranian nuclear enrichment program.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. That's talk radio you can control, so you can call 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 to get in on the conversation with us. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. You can tell us we're wrong. It doesn't matter because it's Free Talk Live. And you're able to get in on the conversation with us. Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear, like t-shirts and hoodies, are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. And you've got Bonnie, Chad, Richie Rich, and Mark Edge on the show tonight. But we do have someone on the line, so I'm going to go to the phones and to the fun. We have Sarah in New Mexico on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yes, this Trump, all his whatever he's doing, it's making me want to vote. I'm going to vote in the primary because I want my person to be like really anti-Trump, so I could vote for them in November.
So you have an anti-Trump candidate in New Mexico? Or are you just going to vote Democrat as usual?
Well, I'm on the Democrat ticket, but there's two. One is a moderate, and then the other one supposedly is like a progressive. So I'm inspired, to make sure that she gets in there.
Okay.
So when she gets a nomination, she's just gonna get it. And I have a feeling they're doing polling. So Deb Hall.
And you know how uncomfortable that can be.
Not that kind of polling.
It's not cold there.
She's going to get it.
You don't have to stand out in the cold.
What?
Anyways, I don't know what Mark meant by that, and I don't want to know, so continue with what you're saying. You've been doing polling, but you were going to vote anyway. But you want to make sure that on the air you're heard saying you're going to vote to get Trump out. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, yeah, I'm going to... See, I usually stay out of the primaries. Oh, so what? Primaries. But I am going to vote in the primary.
You mean the midterms?
Okay, the midterm.
The primary for the midterms.
Primary for, okay.
In November. Right now is the primaries.
So you've got a selected Democrat amongst Democrats that you're going to go vote for in the primaries to make sure that the most anti-Trump Democrat is on the ticket in the midterms.
Right. So I used to think that it was not that important, the primary. Like, you just vote for the Democrat at the end. But I want to make sure that my candidate is going to be the, anti-Trump possible.
Okay.
So there's what you call the Sam Bregman. There's one guy, Sam Bregman. He's what's called moderate. I don't hear nothing like very strong about environment. When he's asked a question about oil company, he's just kind of like fades out. I don't know what his answer is. But the Deb Haaland, she was the first Native American congresswoman. She is running for governor ticket. She's very solid about her environmental issues. So that makes her like more left, very solid, very progressive.
So do you care more about the environmental issues or more about the anti-Trump issues? Because I don't know if those are one and the same.
Well, I think that it is one and the same, because Trump said he's going to let all the oil companies loose. He's going to listen to pollution standards. They could pollute all they want. But
your question is flawed anywhere. Sarah doesn't care about the environment. Sarah cares about socialism and getting as much stuff as possible. Like, if you're pro-homelessness, then you probably are not pro the environment. Who litters more than anybody else? Homeless, I think.
She's pro-homeless?
Actually, I am very environmental. That's why I ride a bus. I'm for electric vehicles. I am, littering.
So you want high gas prices then?
I'm against high gas prices.
Then more people will be driving.
If you're pro-environmental, what you're for is wiping out all the poor people in third world countries, because those are the ones who dump the trash in the oceans. Just carpet bombing them.
Right, Sarah? Would you run for, I don't know, state rep in New Mexico under the banner of carpet bomb third worlders?
You know what? I am not going to run for office. I just usually... My job is to run around with a 243.
Why not?
Number.
Why don't you want to run for office?
Well, I have my reasons. I like to work closely and lobby with the legislatures, and I had good looks, but I don't want to really run for office. I just like to help people get elected. But the whole point is, this primary, more of the progressive, more of the radical environmentalists are going to come out, because they have to come out and vote against Trump for getting too much power.
I understand the point and everything, but Sarah, I don't know if something's wrong with your phone, or if
you
just
got to back off the microphone an inch or two.
Talking too loud into it or something, but it's been sounding really bad recently, like talking really loud into the phone. And I think she got her point out. She wants Trump out. Thank you for the call, Sarah from New Mexico.
Who doesn't at this point?
Right. Like, does anybody support him? Even my parents, who were pretty MAGA, they hate Trump now because of all the stuff he didn't deliver. I think lots of MAGA people are that way at this point. So
gas prices alone are ridiculous.
Yeah. So we talked about the Southern Poverty Law Center already, and you might think we talked about everything there was to talk about it, but there's these new ideas from the Wall Street Journal about the whole fiasco, and I think that it is really funny and entertaining at the very least. So this is from wallstreetjournal.com.
Reputable news source.
Ian read it and he said it was really funny, and it's an opinion commentary thing, so maybe we won't read the whole thing or anything because those usually run long. But it says the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, allegedly mimics the worst FBI abuses. The anti-racist outfit's use of informants is reminiscent of the Bureau's COINTELPRO fiasco. And I always try to tell libertarians about COINTELPRO. Maybe you guys know a little bit about it yourselves, but maybe the listener doesn't. But it's basically just where they would install people into any up-and-coming movement, like MLK Juniors, and the Black Panthers and other people like that, and the Native American movements. I can't remember exactly what they called themselves. American Indian movements, AIM. They would put people in that seemed like they're just another member of AIM or MLK's friend. And in reality, they were an informant with the FBI, and they would do things like try to get MLK to kill himself. Yeah. And it was just a fiasco, and it got actually one of the greatest leaks of all time. It wasn't like we didn't need an Edward Snowden or whatever, or any kind of a Julian Assange. There were some people that stormed an FBI field office in, I think it was Indiana, and they just grabbed a bunch of papers and they released a bunch of information about COINTELPRO, and that's the reason we know a lot about what we know about what they did, which is like what that should be talked about more. I only learned it because I was reading this book called The COINTELPRO Papers, which I owe back to the library, and I mean, I didn't admit that. They're going to come after me. No, I'm just kidding. They are. Socialist. I just keep forgetting to bring back. I'm going to pay for it and everything. The counterintelligence, this is from the Wall Street Journal. The counterintelligence program, or COINTELPRO, holds a prominent place in the annals of governmental abuse. A 1976 report by the Senate's Select Church Committee, Intelligence Activities and the Rights of Americans, exposed how the Federal Bureau of Investigations had secretly paid and directed informants embedded inside extremist groups, which it claimed to be neutralizing. The Bureau routed payments through false front entities while assuring the public that its mission was to suppress rather than to stimulate violence.
Oh yeah, that's their whole MO.
Yep.
Right. They find some kid, they turn him into some violent extremist, and they take credit for stopping him.
Even though he's probably like mentally disabled a lot of the time.
A lot of the times, yeah.
This is basically almost every arrest of some Islamic terrorist on U.S. soil since 9/11 has been somebody that the FBI has armed and made the plan. It's their plan. They're doing everything. They're doing all the heavy lifting, and all this guy has to do is go stand in the wrong place with the wrong button,
or go
whatever.
buy a GameStop card and give it to ISIS, thinking they're actually giving it to ISIS.
Like how many FBI agents did they admit was part of the January 6th insurrection a few years ago?
Was it in the hundreds? I don't know.
Yeah, it was like dozens or in the hundreds. And a lot of times they were the ones stoking the violence and instigating people to do stuff.
Same thing with the Whitmer kidnapping plot, where there was the vast majority of them were actually FBI.
5 out of the 6 people in the plot was FBI.
And the plan
agents.
was absurd. I mean, there was no possibility to even pull it off.
Well, we have a caller on the line, so I'm going to go to Michael. Michael in Texas, right? Because I didn't write where you are from.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'm from Texas.
Michael from Texas, what do you have on your mind tonight?
Oh, just a whole bunch of stuff, just the bigger topics that I've kind of wanted to bring up again. Just to say, give a shout out to Ian. And just I love how you guys always highlight his case and keep it current.
Yeah.
And what they've done to him, we're currently doing to him. But I just thought it was interesting, Bonnie. The other night I was listening, and Sarah called in, and I thought it was so funny because it's been years, and she's still talking about the same topic. I just busted out laughing. But I came up with an idea. I came up with a genius idea. We need to get it like a crowdfunding deal going where they can have zip lines for pedestrians over there. And Albuquerque zip line petition. You know what I'm saying? To help them cross the streets over there so they don't die.
Yeah, they'll just die otherwise, apparently, according to Sarah. It's just so ridiculous. That's hilarious. Yeah, because the other weekend we were talking about why is it that these, in New Mexico specifically, these people that can't stop getting hit by cars, is it the driver's fault? Which I'm the first to say New Mexico drivers are horrible drivers. If I saw one on the road before they even did anything sketchy, I got away from them in Texas. They're horrible drivers. Really bad. But I'll also say that it's just like, I just don't understand how so often you're not like looking both ways when you're crossing the road.
Telling you, perverse government incentives.
What do you mean?
I told you, government gives the pedestrian the right. They give the meat popsicle the right of way over the 3,000-pound death machine. I was like, wonder why the meat popsicle loses in that collision. Because they step out with entitlement and the car doesn't stop.
Yep.
Right. Well,
sounds about right.
I want to say, Rich, hey to you too, because I was a big fan of yours. I've been listening for years, and I didn't really recognize that it was you. I was talking to you the other night when I brought up that I got swatted. That's me. I was talking to you all about. But I called in last night, kind of gave him a little catch up. But Bonnie, you weren't there. I've sent an email for a open records request over here to kind of establish, that they're like a system of harassment. And so, because it's more than those incidents I've even told y'all about. One time they came to the door at 6 a.m. I'm the only one up going to the restroom, and the officer literally telling me he needs to come in to do basically a welfare check. And at that time, it's just me, my nephew, and my uncle, and they're all asleep. It's just me. But at the time, there's also a haunted house. I'm out in the country. There's a haunted house that kind of is, in this vicinity, and it's a bunch of kids that are out, all night long. And I'm assuming if there ever was even a 911 call, that it's coming from those kids, just pranking or playing around.
Oh,
but,
like a house that the whole neighborhood thinks is haunted, so the kids are there at night. Yeah.
They use that as a pretense to have to come in my house. And, rather than really stand on it at that time, like I said, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, I was really not feeling all that. So I let him walk through, look in the rooms, not, touch anything, of course. He just seen everybody sleep, and he left. But
what are the requirements of a welfare check? Like, is it the same like a judicial warrant? You got to identify the person you're seeking. Like, hey, we're here for Billy, and you're like, Billy's not here. Do they, do they still have probable cause to go in?
it's interesting you bring that up because I brought up last night the YouTube page, the civil rights lawyer. I want y'all, anybody who's listening, it's a great page. But there's a current one called the welfare check, right? And so according to the law, the welfare check is like a voluntary exchange. You do not have. They can ask you for your information. You do not have to provide it.
Okay. At
that point, you're not under any obligation to provide them anything a welfare check other than say, I'm good.
I'm a woman, so I've watched lots of these true crime things where somebody died or something, and they talk about how they found the dead body. And a lot of the times, the dead body sits in a house for a long time because they called for a welfare check, but no one answered the door, and they actually don't have the right to just be like, we think she's in there. We're just going to bust the door down until for a while.
Well, they have the right if they think that somebody's in danger to do something that's within their power. But how are you?
Yeah,
if you just knock on a door,
can establish
how do you know?
it. Right, exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. So if they're saying Billy's in the house and we need to check on Billy, and you say Billy's not here, right? What's their document that allows them to bypass your keeping them out? Right? They need a warrant to search and seize. Yeah. Seize is the collection
but it's
of a
what's
person.
The reason they get the warrant? And I feel like they can just kind of convince a judge however they want, whenever they really are motivated.
I mean, if Billy's cousin says, "Hey, he's trapped in this house, and this is where they're holding him kidnapped," right? You can go get the warrant, right? Because now it's
Billy's
a
cousin kind of needs to. I mean, it can't be just a sort of anonymous thing. Hey, I think I'm not going to tell you who I am, but I think that Billy's being held in this house. I mean, if the cousin comes out and says, I'm sure Billy's in that house, the cops are going to come back to them and have a conversation if Billy's not there.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a well-known video out right now. A guy had done something very similar to what we're talking about in Cleveland. He actually had the lady in a trunk, folded up, still alive. She actually made it out alive. She did, 60-year-old woman. But the cops basically kept this guy, kept chattering him up outside until they got a warrant. Because they had two people claiming the same thing that were in that house prior, and they had very solid evidence in that case. But yeah, you're right. A lot of times they go to places where there are incidents that have gone on inside the house, and they do not have the power to go in at that time. They have to come back later. That happens all the time.
So with your welfare check, what made you want to let them in and look around? Like, why would you do that?
Not necessarily that I wanted to. I wasn't really just in the frame of mind to just stand on my rights. I'll admit it. As a person I've done 18 years in prison, brother, and I'll be the first to tell you a lot of times it's tedious and it's just more work believe it or not, it's more work to assert your rights than just let this dude come walk through real fast and get the hell out of my life.
Yeah, and I'm sure they count on that in most of their interactions.
Right.
I don't want to have to hold you here until we go get the dog. You should just let us search the car. No, screw you.
That's probably why they did it at 6 a.m. when he just woke up. Yeah. Right. Well, you have anything else for us, Michael?
Yeah, I love you guys. I love the show. I love what y'all do. I like talking to all three of y'all. Mark, I love you. Hey, I love what you do, man. You're inspiration to me. And all of y'all are, man. I'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you for the call, Michael. And 603-283-6160 is the phone number you can call to bring up whatever's on your mind. I also like the civil rights lawyer on YouTube. He's awesome.
Richie Rich.
Yes.
I had a situation where I guess somebody ran over my sign, the number that has the sign that has the number of my house. I didn't put up a mailbox. Usually people have their number that way, but people needed to know how to get to my house, right? So I put the number on the road, but no mailbox because, I'm not going to install the federal government's mailbox and then let them deliver junk mail to me and all that stuff.
Or you buy the mailbox and then they take it as their property.
It is effectively their property once you buy it, and once it says U.S. mail, it's kind of crazy. And this guy, I guess, drunk driver or whatever, ran over the sign, and a police officer comes up and knocks on my door, and it's got to be 6 a.m. or something like that.
Wow.
And it's basically like, hey, your sign just got run over, and I don't know. I guess he wanted me to press charges or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go take a look. Here's my number. I wasn't quite ready to cooperate fully. But what I'm trying to say is when they catch you off guard, it's difficult. It's just hard to know exactly what to do. You have to be very, very practiced in how to deal with these things. And in a lot of cases, it doesn't really matter what you do or what you don't do. In this case, the police officer comes in, looks around, sees that Billy's not there, and leaves.
Yeah, I mean, I get you, and this is you probably remember this more than most people, right? But there used to be an activist in New Hampshire that had the Pimp My Activism thing, where you would practice these interactions so you wouldn't have your guard let down. Yeah. And I also go to one of my favorite founder quotes, and that is the price of liberty is eternal vigilance.
Yes.
Right. So like, if you're libertarian leaning or anarchist leaning or freedom minded, right, these things should be on your mind with like every interaction.
But even when I had been to protests already, and I had been trained by Ian, not Dave Ridley yet, and Rich Paul going into a protest at the governor's house, and they're telling me like how to handle things, what to do if blah 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 happens with the police. And still, when they woke me up at 6 a.m. with explosions and stuff, it took me until I was outside and had my own personal FBI agent, and I was like worrying about my dog the whole time to be like, oh crap, what do you do when it and then that's when I said, am I being detained? Like maybe like 5 minutes into the whole thing, it hadn't crossed my mind yet to assert my rights, really.
Again, what'd she say regarding you being detained?
He said, you're being restrained until we can figure out if anything in the house is going to hurt us. Is anything in the house going to hurt us? So he didn't want to say detained.
I don't answer questions without my attorney.
I just said no.
Yeah.
Can I pick up my dog? Yeah.
Yeah, see, you already let your guard down. Got to practice them stuffs.
Yeah, that's another thing. I never asked about an attorney, but I also as soon as he didn't answer me if I was being detained in the affirmative, and I was just being handcuffed for hours, it's kind of like you're like, what the hell happens next? And you're like worrying about your dog the whole time.
There's been a couple of times here in New Hampshire where I have been detained. Once I was a janitor for a bank, and they gave me the wrong security code. So I go to disarm the alarm so I could do my job. And the alarm doesn't disarm. Like, cops are going to show up. Right? Like, oh, do you have ID? Like, well, yeah. And I give him my passport because that's the ID I use for these interactions. He goes, do you have a driver's license? And I go like, but this is the ID that I'm using for this interaction. This isn't a traffic stop, right? I'm not answering your question, but this is the ID that I'm using for this interaction.
I mean, if you can use student ID to vote until recently.
Did he have a problem with that?
Well, he's like, you can't be driving. With this, you need a driver's license. I'm like, well, thank you for the information, officer. I will look into that, sir. But this is the ID that I'm using for this interaction.
Nice.
Right.
This is a mop bucket. I'm not driving it.
Right. But even when I got T-boned through an intersection here in New Hampshire a couple of years ago, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Mark. So I'm the victim in this, but I still don't have a driver's license show him. I gave him the same answer. A driver's license, like passport. It's like, do you have a driver's license? I'm like, this is the ID I'm using for this interaction. You can't be driving. We're going to have to give you a ticket. Like, you do what you have to do. This is the ID that I'm using for this interaction. You did a driver's license to operate a vehicle in New Hampshire. I'm like, thank you for the information, officer. But this is the ID that I'm using for this interaction.
But you weren't sitting in the car and like...
No, I was sitting in the car at the moment. I got pulled off. I got hit. I pulled into a safe spot and I just waited because I knew they were coming. Like, there's no use running. Yeah. I got hit. I was, I went through the green. The guy ran through the red. I knew I was, not going to be in too much trouble for it. But point is, I'm prepared to not talk to cops, right? Am I being detained? I've walked away from officers, right? Am I being detained? Like, yes. On what grounds? And they find something. I go, all right, well, as long as you got your legitimate reason, I'll come back and talk to you, or not talk to you. But I'll stand here while I'm being detained.
So they gave you a ticket for not having your license after that?
They let me go on this one because I'd already been hit by a car. So they, but in Hawaii, I was on a moped and I got hit by a car, also without a driver's license. And I woke up in the hospital bed with on top of all my property was the ticket for driving without a license.
Just last night, a girl was telling us that she got in a horrible car accident where this giant SUV ran over her small Corvette or whatever it was, something like small. And she said that when she was in the ambulance, they're pushing on her guts and saying like, are you sure you were wearing a seatbelt? You said you were wearing a seatbelt. This is in Maine, so you have to wear a seatbelt.
So
they're trying to get her to say she wasn't wearing a seatbelt and saying like, really? You were wearing a seatbelt? Because it seems like your guts would hurt more. It's like, seriously, that's what you guys are caring about in that moment?
No.
To try and give her a ticket for it?
Yeah, apparently.
In Hawaii, I woke up in the crosswalk having been knocked unconscious. and was still, in my right mind enough to not answer the cops when they were asking for self-incriminating information. Right? Like, my leg's busted, just call the ambulance. Even in the ambulance, I'm trying to get in touch with my then girlfriend, right? I'm not going to make it to your house tonight. And the ambulance people's like, you got to relax. I'm like, I'm good. The leg's busted. Just let me have my phone.
Wow. It's crazy that they're allowed to sit there and try to investigate you while you've just been hit by a car and you're probably not in the right state of mind.
But I was in the right state of mind enough to not answer their dumb questions.
Yep. More Free Talk Live is coming up, 603-283-6160. Get in on the conversation with us and bring up whatever's on your mind. More Free Talk Live is coming up, 603-283-6160. Don't go anywhere. It's Free Talk Live.
After decades of searching the cosmos, today NASA announced that what it was really looking for was right here on planet Earth all along.
For years, we've foolishly chased after comets, moons, and stars. Outer space may be beautiful, but it's not as beautiful as the smile of a child, nor as sublime as a good bottle of wine shared among friends. Our search ends where it began, here on this big blue marble.
Astronomers say that while their telescopes were pointing at Mars, they never even noticed the planet that was right in front of them. NASA now plans to appreciate what they already have. The agency's latest report, entitled Wonder is Everywhere, Finding the Beauty in the Everyday, calls for further study of the little things that truly give life meaning.
Warm rain on a summer day, the smell of pine trees, touching the worn paper of your favorite book, that's what's always made us happy, not some asteroid a million miles away.
This is the Onion News Network.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. The Trump administration has signaled it won't abide by a law requiring it to seek congressional approval to continue the war with Iran once the 60-day deadline expired on Friday. The 1973 War Powers Act requires the president to start withdrawing troops from a conflict if Congress hasn't approved it within 60 days, or to request a 30-day extension. Tony Waterman has more.
The White House says for the purposes of this law, the hostilities with Iran have been terminated because the two sides haven't exchanged fire since the ceasefire began on April 7th, essentially hitting pause on the 60-day countdown. It's a completely novel interpretation of the law, which contains no such pause or ceasefire clause. Legal experts say it's unlikely to pass muster in court. Democratic lawmakers are also skeptical. But with Congress now in a recess for a week, it seems the passing of this deadline, which is meant to constrain a president's military power, will have no real consequences for now. Tony Waterman, Washington.
A man's been charged with attempted murder after 2 Jewish men were stabbed in North London on Wednesday. It comes as the UK's terror threat level was raised to severe, meaning officials believe an attack is highly likely in the coming months. There have been a spate of anti-Semitic attacks in the UK in recent months. Metropolitan Police Chief Mark Rowley says the threat level hasn't just been raised because of Wednesday's incident.
It's the wider context. We've got an increasing caseload in our counter-terrorism teams dealing with sort of Islamist terrorist activity. That's about three-quarters of the workload. Extreme right-wing terrorist activity. Obviously, there's a wider context of hostile states driving issues as well, which adds to that. That combined picture has tipped the threat level up a notch to severe, which means attacks are highly likely in the next few months.
During a 90-minute-long phone conversation, US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the Middle East crisis and a possible short-term ceasefire in Ukraine in early May. The Kremlin said that Trump supported the ceasefire idea. The White House had rejected Russia's offer to help on the issue of Iran's nuclear program. Daria Bondarchuk reports from Moscow.
President Putin called President Trump to discuss the Iran war and a possible ceasefire with Ukraine, the Kremlin foreign policy aide said, describing their conversation as friendly, frank and businesslike. Putin confirmed he'd be ready to announce a temporary truce for the annual celebration of the World War II victory over Nazi Germany, which Russia marks on May 9. According to the Kremlin, the American leader actively supported the initiative. Putin's spokesman later said the dates and the duration of the short-term truce are yet to be decided on. President Trump said while he encouraged Vladimir Putin to conclude his war in Ukraine, he rebuffed Moscow's offer to help on the issue of the Iranian nuclear enrichment program. Daria Bondarchuk, Moscow.
The European Commission has accused Meta of failing to keep underage users from accessing its services. The tech giant rejects the allegations but could face the prospect of hefty fines if the Commission's findings are confirmed. William Denslow reports from Brussels.
The European Commission accuses Meta of falling short of its own terms and conditions by not adequately preventing children under 13 from accessing Facebook and Instagram. The EU says there are no effective controls to prevent users from simply entering a false date of birth when creating an account. Meta rejects this, saying that it has mechanisms in place to flag and remove anyone using their platforms that are underage. This is a preliminary finding, but the tech company could face a fine of up to 6% of its total annual turnover if the Commission's findings are confirmed.
And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to visit the UAE in May as New Delhi works diplomatic channels to secure its energy interests. This comes after the UAE announced its exit from OPEC, a move that analysts say could help India secure a cheaper crude oil supply. Ishan Garg tells us more from New Delhi.
Reports say India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi could make a quick stopover in the UAE during his trip to Europe later in May. What seems like a last-minute visit comes after experts said UAE could become crucial for India's energy security as its oil production will no longer be capped by OPEC quotas. The Gulf nation could hit peak production of over 5 million barrels per day in the long run, and if it's able to supply its oil through overground piped network via the coast of Gulf of Oman, it could help New Delhi reduce reliance on oil shipped through the now blocked Strait of Hormuz. Ishan Garg, New Delhi.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
For the past several years now, area woman Caitlin Mooney has been convinced that each and every one of her friends should be a professional comedian. Our reporters spoke to Caitlin this morning about her, quote, hilarious group of friends.
Karen is so funny. Like, I can't even explain it. She's always just saying whatever on her mind. She has this totally sassy attitude. You just can't help but laugh. My roommate Rashmi, she always has these hilarious stories that, they're just too much. I'm always telling her that she should just go up on stage and talk. Everyone would love it.
Mooney went on to say that her good friend Lauren is so funny she could, quote, definitely be on Saturday Night Live or The Office, a sentiment she echoed about a number of her other acquaintances, including her childhood friend Marcia, her college roommate Angela, her coworker Julie, and even her sister Jennifer.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. That means that you can call 603-283-6160 to bring up whatever's on your mind. That's 603-283-6160. And if you're tired of the oppressive rules and moderation of the big tech social media sites, our Mastodon server at social.freetalklive.com can set you free. Mastodon is free, open source, decentralized, and federated. Multiple apps are available for iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, and Linux. Social.freetalklive.com is that website. And here on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie, and you have Alana. She's it was Chad, so we switched out Chad for Alana.
Is that an upgrade or a downgrade?
She was Chad. And it's just ridiculous. So, no, it's an upgrade. We have Alana. Well, that sounds so mean. I was like, let me be nice to Alana. It's so mean to Chad.
Rich.
And we have Mark Edge remotely.
Hello.
Oh, there he is.
And what's great about Alana is she just got back from Boston convincing people that they should keep their whole baby, not get rid of some of it.
Exactly.
But
What's
not
that
being
all
fed
about?
gushers, apparently.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
What's that all about, Alana?
Yes, so I am a part of Bloodstained Men and Friends, and we are a nonprofit organization dedicated to ending infant genital mutilation. We are against the cutting of all children, boys and girls. And as some may know, the United States has had female circumcision be illegal since 1997. So,
which seems actually kind of recent.
Right?
Disgustingly recent.
Right? Like, I was born in 1992. So, when I was born, my mommy and daddy could have cut off parts of my vagina if they wanted to.
Wait, 1997?
Yeah, 1997.
Even when you said that, for some reason, I seriously thought 1977.
No.
And I was born 1996, so yeah, I guess that could have happened to me too.
Yeah, right? We could have both had parts of our vagina cut off against our will.
That's just crazy.
Because we're just too dumb. We wouldn't have been able to clean ourselves. That's just what it is.
Would you really have noticed the difference, though?
I think so.
You wouldn't notice because you wouldn't know what you're missing.
Right. It's like people born without
thing.
an arm. They adapt and they improvise, and it's just normal to them.
That's being born without an arm, not being born and then the doctor decides to cut off your arm.
Yeah, but it happens so quickly, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, but it's not about
if the infant
knowing.
got the arm cut off,
It's about the injustice of being born with an arm and the doctor just cutting off the arm.
Yeah,
of course. Yes,
that's
you'd still
horrible.
grow up with one arm and still adapt and overcome and just be normal.
You adapt and overcome, yes, and then that choice should have been yours, right?
Okay.
To keep both those arms that you were born with, and keep that 100% of your penis belongs to 100% of you.
Yeah, so she'll be on the side of the road with the really shocking signs that say things like, you deserve your whole penis.
Yes, that's actually personally one of my favorite signs to hold up. So for all the people who are listening, you can check us out on bloodstainedmen.org. And we are very viral, found on X and Facebook and Instagram, all the social media sites. And the outfits are very eye-catching, which is the point. We dress in all white with white cowboy hats, a bloody red crotch, and we hold up signs saying, you deserve your whole penis. His body, his choice. Stop cutting baby penis. Circumcisers belong in prison.
Nice. That's a under pointed out thing about this is just maybe I don't really believe that they belong in prison because like as a libertarian I'd say that like if the parents are paying them to do it and in my opinion it's just like it's not right, but it's not something I don't know that I'd go to the degree of say that they should be in prison, but
has anybody called you anti-Semitic?
Oh, yeah. That happens all the
they
time.
come up to you and say that?
Oh, yeah. But we usually...
You just hate Jews.
Do you think that the doctors should be in prison? I think something should be done about this. Turd is calling in. You can't call in twice, Turd.
Bye, Turd.
I would say we should let him talk anyway if he had a decent call tonight, but no, his call was weak.
Ooh.
Sorry, Turd. Well, do you guys think we should talk to Turd again?
Are you putting up to vote? I vote no.
I vote no.
I'm sorry, I don't violate the rule.
Yeah, it's a rule. It's a rule, Turd. The rule's a rule for a reason.
Mark doesn't violate the rule.
Mark, what do you think? Do you think that the people should be put in jail? Do you have an opinion on circumcision? I mean,
I think that okay. So my first opinion is that clearly this is correct, right? In so much as we shouldn't be cutting parts of our kids without their permission. like I think that when things have long history, that it takes a while to sort of undo it. I'm not prepared to put doctors and parents that participate in infant circumcision in prison, but I don't have a problem with them holding up signs and having white, red crotches and white pants. They're drawing attention, right?
Yeah.
And I'm fine with the attention drawing. When we start the trials, you might lose me. But up until then, I'm with you. I'm with you up until the trials.
Well, let's bring it right to the show. Would you put me in prison?
For circumcising your children?
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't. And my reason. Well, what do you say?
Well, so the sign in question says circumcisers, and so the parents are not the circumcisers.
Okay.
So we're talking about the doctors who
But
perform
they
the
did it with my permission and on my behalf.
Sure.
Okay.
And so I think by right. So you're getting permission by proxy.
Right.
I think that
If I hire a hitman, am I responsible, or is it just the hitman?
I understand the example you're presenting. I'm just stating that when we attack this, which people have already done so in the courts, that judicially it's going to go over better when you attack the doctors, because the doctors took an oath to do no harm.
Okay.
And so, right, we're cutting off parts of children that don't have any disease. You're cutting off you have no diagnosis, no disease. And so it's a violation.
Okay.
Yeah, of the oath that they take.
I just think that there would be so many things people would suddenly be able to go after, because like when I had an ovarian cyst last year, I'm always like, I don't like to talk about it and just talk about it for a ton. I actually don't like to talk about it on the show, whatever.
But it's fitting.
The doctors, all the doctors were begging me, basically. They were like trying their hardest to convince me to remove my whole ovary. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to think about that. Ran the heck out of there and found a place on the internet. So I had to travel to Maryland, and I only got the cyst cut out and not my whole ovary. But like, I don't think that those people necessarily, if they had successfully done that and I came to my senses afterwards and I was like, you know what? I didn't know there was this place in Maryland that could have just took off the ovary. It's like, I do think they think that they are doing something good, even though I think they're crazy, possibly like psychopathic, weird, and wrong. Definitely wrong, because they're not looking at things from like a holistic perspective. They're like, you'll still have the other ovary. Like, that's so ridiculous to me. And also they're trying to make things easier for themselves, and that's a huge problem. But I couldn't prove that in court too. I don't know. I'm making this a little pedantic. It's like, I agree. I don't know about us all, like
Well, it's a huge violation of the NAP.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree
you
with that.
can't be for infant circumcision and claim to be a libertarian, voluntarist, anarchist, minarchist, because it's the first violation that men will incur. You know, it's like you're first coming out of the womb, especially in the United States. You come out the womb, they're like, all right, welcome to the world. Here's a knife. Let's wash him off. Go cut off part of his penis. Right?
Does the NAP apply to everybody or just libertarians then? And if you're protesting on everybody, right? Like you're,
we're protesting that men deserve their whole bodies.
I got it.
Yeah.
But you brought up the NAP as if
I'll push back.
Okay.
A lot of people will pierce the ears of their baby girls.
I'm against that too. I've already heard that argument.
Okay.
People spin that off all the time.
Yeah, well, it's one I've got because I've been talking to people about this for a long time, and I'm just curious where you guys come down on it. So, can you think of any other situations where people are altering? Like, I mean, I don't know, cutting hair and cutting nails might be an argument,
It's
although
not permanent,
it doesn't
but
seem very permanent.
trans stuff that people do to kids and they take away their ability to go through
Seems
puberty.
very wrong.
Yep. And we also are against that too. So like we always tell people like, hey, we are against, forcing genital surgeries and procedures on all children, because I thought we've already decided as a country, like, children cannot consent, but then clearly when it comes to this issue, we're okay with it. And so,
well, you're not saying the child consents to the circumcision. You're saying that the child can't consent.
Correct.
Right.
So we shouldn't be circumcising them.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
In the event that the child is unable to consent, the right results to the parents to make the correct decision for the child. And if you give the right to the parent to make decisions for their children, because children can't consent,
sure,
well, then the parent can decide what to do with the child's body, and this is what you end up with.
You know what?
Right.
I think that's exactly why I think they shouldn't be going to the courts. I think you've just like spelled out exactly why I think that it's not something that should like be prosecuted against the parents or even the doctor, because the doctor just did what the parents wanted. But I do think that it's just morally wrong. Like, it's just like you're choosing something to do something permanent to somebody's body, and it's not yours, even if like I go as far as to say children are your property, but I constantly point out
you get to do
that
what you want with your property.
if you do something long term to somebody who you know will not be your property one day, it's different than a computer.
Do you have sons, Rich?
I do.
Okay.
One.
And so you chose to circumcise them?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you feel about infant circumcision now?
I wouldn't do it again.
That's fair. And that's fair. When I'm talking to people, I always make the point of like, we're not here to shame parents of the past, right? Like, we all make mistakes. We all do things out of lack of knowledge, coercion, peer pressure, and like straight ignorance, right? Like, you can't take back what you didn't know.
Right.
You know, and so like.
And I'll plead ignorance on this one.
Sure. Yeah. And that's like, dude, I respect that. That takes a lot of humility, because there's a lot of parents that we come into interactions with that refuse, just go into straight cognitive dissonance and denial.
It might be
right?
hard to like accept that like you harmed your kid.
Yeah, and like, but you know, like, you got to rise up and face it. Like, we're all human. We all make mistakes, and it's all about learning and growing to know better and do better.
If you ever brought it up, I would apologize. Like, what do you want me to do to make it right?
Right.
There's not much I can do, but
for sure.
But he hasn't, so I'm in the clear.
Just like the Armenians. Well, we have a caller on the line, so let's go to
hold
the.
on. I've got one more.
One second, caller.
So what's that?
I said 1 second to the caller.
1 second to the caller. Yes. So there are medical reasons that a circumcision might occur.
It's super rare.
It's not. Well, I mean, super
It's
rare.
extremely
Say
rare.
one in a couple of people in 1,000, right?
Right.
Males only.
Sure.
A couple of males in 1,000, and like for whatever reason, the foreskin's just too tight and it can't be sort of massaged, or they don't want to, or whatever the reason is. So, for the purposes of a medical procedure, whether you're right or wrong in that medical procedure, I would personally allow the parent in that circumstance to sort of be absolved of their responsibility. So in presuming that means that any parent that did it for medical reasons did it for the right reasons isn't sort of wrong. It's just think we all get new information as time goes by. That's how I look at it.
Yes, but they're all going to claim, most of them are going to claim that they're doing it for medical reasons. They're going to state, he'll get less infections. He will get less health problems. And so it's not justified.
If you reduce the amount of circumcisions down to just those,
Sure.
how do you know that in those circumstances you're going to get a competent practicing doctor who may not have done a circumcision in his career or hasn't done one in years because of the now newly infrequent procedure?
Well, in those instances, there's still a rate of low practicing and other surgeries that they don't happen that often, and we still have to rely on the doctors being competent.
Yeah.
So, we got it. It's always a gamble. And that's why doctors say they're practicing.
When you get in the car, you're taking a chance. So like when you cut off parts of your body, you're taking. Let's see if the caller has something to say about this, or if he wants to change the subject. I'm not sure. What's on your mind, caller? And what's your name?
It's Matt.
What's on your mind tonight, Matt?
Well, specifically on the topic of circumcision, there's a couple things I want to discuss.
I definitely want to know what callers want to say about this.
Yeah. So, it was just mentioned that there's a certain number of medically necessary circumcisions done. And if you actually look at the statistics, it's between 1 in 4,000 and 1 in 6,000 in the United States. Now, in countries that don't routinely circumcise, and therein their doctors know how to treat conditions of the foreskin without jumping straight to surgery. Right? Because we have a tendency to jump straight to, well, let's just cut it off, or let's go in and open them up and see what we can find, right? So our doctors jump straight to surgery for so many things that can be treated in many other ways. This is one of them. There's no training in American medical school about the foreskin. All it is, this is the part that you cut off during a circumcision. That's all they learn. So the problem with that is in countries that don't routinely circumcise, the rate of medically necessary circumcisions in adulthood is 1 in 16,000 plus. So, you know, if you're talking 1 in 16,000 plus, you're circumcising 15,999 babies to prevent one from needing it later in life. Now,
right.
On to the topic of, you know, proxy consent, allowing the parents to make the decision. Proxy consent is only acceptable in a time where not doing anything will cause harm to the child. So if you're allowing the parent to consent to a medical procedure that is a cosmetic procedure, and it is classified as cosmetic by every insurance agency, right? Every medical insurance company calls it a cosmetic procedure. It's how it's billed, it's just what it is. So what other cosmetic procedure without some kind of deformity, right? Without either, you know, a burn victim or a birth defect, what other cosmetic procedure can a parent consent to for their child?
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
they are allowed to a lot in the United States, but I do think that it's usually wrong. Like with the ear piercing thing that Mark brought up, it's like people are like, oh, that's harmless. But the thing is, even if it's literally harmless, it doesn't really matter. If you're an adult and you're like, I wish my ears didn't have these holes or even scars in them, it's like, it's your body. It doesn't matter if it's small. You should be allowed to say, I wish that didn't happen to me. Like my first ear piercings were really uneven to where it's like one earring looked really lower than the other. So I had to like re-pierce my own ear. And now I have like multiple holes going on like in my ears.
Sure. I had a friend in high school who had her ears done as a baby, and she had long slits for whatever reason, and they finally did split after high school. I checked in with her later. So her earlobe is split and would need to be surgically put back together. She's never done that. And so I would say that, yes, piercing babies' ears has consequences.
I agree. So my story for me was that my mother actually let me decide when I wanted to get my ears pierced. And I'm really grateful that she gave me that bodily autonomy. And I didn't have to worry about running around playing, the earrings getting caught as a young child. And so I decided when I was 13 that I was ready and I wanted to have my ears pierced. And that level of empowerment and respect for my own body and letting me decide when I was ready to make that move on my body, I think was really, really empowering and really beautiful. And so I'm really thankful that my mom didn't follow this whole trend of like piercing babies' ears, right? She actually let me have my own autonomy over that. And it's something as small as earrings.
And 13 was an appropriate age to consent to getting your ears pierced?
Right. She agreed to it. Okay. And she agreed to it. And I agreed to it. And so I gave my own consent. And granted, though, obviously, no, if it was part of chopping off parts of my genitals, it probably would have required a lot more, right? Jurisdiction, you would think, a lot more paperwork. And I
mean, they're either the same or on the spectrum together if we're talking about just, okay.
If the game plan was, hey, look, cutting off baby dicks can only be illegal if we also make 18 the year that people are allowed to pierce their ears, sign me up. Okay. Sounds good. Let's do it. Let's save all the baby dicks from getting tattoos. Cut. Sure. Yeah. Why not? Because it's just, yeah. So in our group, the Bloodstained Men, like we actively protest around different cities and busy intersections. And then we also protest yearly at the Super Bowl and the AAP convention, which is a great place if you're trying to reach doctors.
Oh, okay.
Right. And yeah, because it's the yearly meeting of the American Academy of Pediatrics. And so trying to talk to those doctors being like, hey, we know it's like $1 billion industry and you guys get paid like $500 ish to cut these baby penises, but maybe you shouldn't do it anymore. And I think it would really only take putting away how many doctors? 1 to 3 if you get some really good news coverage, and they would want to stop doing it.
So let's also jump into another
I
terrible
think you could
topic.
Probably convict a doctor and fine them, or
that might be
put
enough.
them on some kind of probation or something like that, and still get the same result that you're looking for.
Yeah, it's true. No, I understand.
I think that prison should be reserved for people who are a danger. Doctors are taking money to cut little bits of children off. Probably not.
Well, can we compare this to abortion then, and say that if you find doctors or put doctors in prison who are doing circumcisions enough that it won't stop circumcisions, it'll just go underground and be even more dangerous to the babies?
Right. So I do think that it might cause some to go underground. That's also why we're attacking these issues from multiple different angles.
Okay.
So there is different organizations that are focused on the legal aspect and the judicial aspect.
Okay.
And we're focused on changing people's consciousness on the ground.
The social.
Yeah. So we're on the we're on the social
you can be
angle.
on the social side, but you also called for doctors to be criminally prosecuted for it. So
we hold up signs that say that. Yeah.
Okay.
But we're not, none of us are lawyers.
I get it.
On the team. So we're talking to people. If other organizations want to go off and do that, and other people are doing that, that's on them.
There's
to make
people
that
outside
happen.
Planned Parenthood all the time, right? With their little pro-life signs. They want harm to come to those doctors in some form or fashion, but
Sure.
I don't think that calling for it, is necessary. I don't think the people calling for violence are necessarily taking the moral high ground there. Go ahead, Bonnie.
Oh, I just got to say that we should probably use medical terms like penis and vagina when we're describing these things just for the radio from now on. I was Googling things, and I don't think we could say anything other than penis and vagina. But
I see.
wanted to say that before asking the caller, Matt.
Well, more accurately, it's a vulva.
What? Okay, we don't have to get that. When the FCC
You're
hasn't
going to
gotten
make
that
Turd Ferguson
specific.
call back again, Mark.
Yeah, right.
Perv Ferguson.
Yeah, he was mad about that. Can you believe? Can you imagine being mad about that when he calls the way he calls? So, caller Matt, did you have anything else you wanted to say about this?
Oh yeah, so there's a couple of things. You guys had mentioned the whole imprisonment thing, and so I kind of want to give you an idea of where I stand on that. So, we have a law on the books that says that you cannot circumcise a little girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to perform a similar procedure to the similar body part on a little girl. And if you do, under that law, you would be fined and jailed.
That is a really good point.
It's also not as prevalent in the United States.
Because it's illegal.
More Somalians are coming in, so I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But thank you for the call, Matt, and more Free Talk Live coming up. 603-283-6160 is the phone number. Thank you, Matt, for calling in. We love new callers. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. The Trump administration has signaled it won't abide by a law requiring it to seek congressional approval to continue the war with Iran once the 60-day deadline expired on Friday. The 1973 War Powers Act requires the president to start withdrawing troops from a conflict if Congress hasn't approved it within 60 days, or to request a 30-day extension. Tony Waterman has more.
The White House says for the purposes of this law, the hostilities with Iran have been terminated because the two sides haven't exchanged fire since the ceasefire began on April 7th, essentially hitting pause on the 60-day countdown. It's a completely novel interpretation of the law, which contains no such pause or ceasefire clause. Legal experts say it's unlikely to pass muster in court. Democratic lawmakers are also skeptical. But with Congress now in a recess for a week, it seems the passing of this deadline, which is meant to constrain a president's military power, will have no real consequences for now.
A man's been charged with attempted murder after 2 Jewish men were stabbed in North London on Wednesday. It comes as the UK's terror threat level was raised to severe, meaning officials believe an attack is highly likely in the coming months. There have been a spate of anti-Semitic attacks in the UK in recent months. Metropolitan Police Chief Mark Rowley says the threat level hasn't just been raised because of Wednesday's incident.
It's the wider context. We've got an increasing caseload in our counter-terrorism teams dealing with sort of Islamist terrorist activity. That's about 3/4 of the workload. Extreme right-wing terrorist activity. Obviously, there's a wider context of hostile states driving issues as well, which adds to that. That combined picture has tipped the threat level up a notch to severe, which means attacks are highly likely in the next few months.
During a 90-minute-long phone conversation, US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the Middle East crisis and a possible short-term ceasefire in Ukraine in early May. The Kremlin said that Trump supported the ceasefire idea. Daria Bondarchuk reports from Moscow.
President Putin called President Trump to discuss the Iran war and a possible ceasefire with Ukraine, the Kremlin foreign policy aide said, describing their conversation as friendly, frank and businesslike. Putin confirmed he'd be ready to announce a temporary truce for the annual celebration of the World War II victory over Nazi Germany, which Russia marks on May 9. According to the Kremlin, the American leader actively supported the initiative. Putin's spokesman later said the dates and the duration of the short-term truce are yet to be decided on. President Trump said while he encouraged Vladimir Putin to conclude his war in Ukraine, he rebuffed Moscow's offer to help on the issue of the Iranian nuclear enrichment program.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and that means you can call 603-283-6160 to get in on the conversation with us. That's 603-283-6160. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie,
Alana,
Richie Rich,
and Mark Edge remotely.
And in the last segment, we were talking all about circumcision. Is it right? Is it wrong? Should doctors go to jail? Libertarian ethics concerning those type of things. And, body freedom, really, or like the body autonomy is more what I'm trying to say. And we already have another caller on the line who I already screened during the break, and he said he wanted to talk about the same subject. So let's just go right into the phones. We've got Dwayne in Florida. Dwayne, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, Free Talk Live.
Hey.
I just think it's amazing that we are in a culture that we think we're in a genital cutting culture, but we have to realize we're in a genital harvesting culture because they are selling the genitals of these children to the biotech and cosmetic industries.
Yep.
Yes.
That is such a good point. I'm sorry I cut you off a little bit. I was just like, wow, great point. I hadn't even thought of this. But it's true. They make face creams with baby foreskins.
Were you familiar with this, Rich?
What? I probably heard about it sometime in the past, but I don't use face cream, so I'm no danger there.
That's good. You have great skin. Yeah, this is good.
So Sandra Bullock was on the Ellen DeGeneres show.
Yes.
And you can go on YouTube and find it. So it's out there.
And Oprah.
I don't watch those shows.
Yeah.
Those are chick shows, man.
They just went viral. That's how I came across it.
Me too. I never watched those shows either, but I've seen those clips go viral.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a $1 billion industry.
The entire foreskin removal industry is about a $6 billion a year industry when you count the revision surgeries for the botched and then actually removing them, selling the foreskin, and then the sexual lube that's needed because the foreskin is a gliding action.
Yep. We got to make up for what was taken from men. We got to double compensate.
Yeah, it's totally sick, and the more you learn, the worse it gets. I mean,
yes.
But also to address what you had talked about just a minute ago, where you said, well, if we make it illegal, it's going to move underground. Okay, well, if it moves underground, it's not going to be 3,000 infants a day having their foreskin amputated.
Correct. Right.
Well, but it's going to be more dangerous for those that do.
That is a possible scenario.
I don't know, Richie, because I mean, currently there's plenty of people who choose not to even let doctors do it. So I guess maybe some more people will go to rabbis, but
I'm sure they get
how many
trained.
non-Jewish people really care?
Right.
Well, I mean, if you're going to pay the rabbi, I'm sure the rabbi will take the money.
I think
that's true. They do. Yeah.
The rabbi will take the money.
But
I don't think that's what he was saying. I think what Mark was saying was, well, if you're not Jewish, maybe a lot fewer people will do it, and the ones that go to the rabbis anyway, well, they're already trained. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that that most people, it seems to me, will just stop getting their kids circumcised. Now, again, I am not for.
So you think it's just a matter of
doctors.
convenience? Then they're at the hospital, baby's born.
They get pressured. They get pressured.
In a white jacket said, "Cut this."
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why
Well, it's the pressure too.
Yes.
Hey guys, so the doctors and nurses. So that's the survey done by Intact America. The doctors and nurses. It's 8 times they've asked these mothers while they're in the most fragile state right after a birth whether they want their child cut. 8 times asked.
Yep.
If that was a used car salesman, you'd walk out.
Yeah, that is disgusting. That's a good point.
It's a huge money-making business. Why wouldn't they ask 8 times? But I was going to add that in the United States, the circumcision rates have been dropping since the 1980s. So it is on a downward trend, and one of those reasons is because when we cut funding to Medicaid, when Medicaid stops funding infant circumcision, what we have seen statistically is that the rates drop.
Okay.
So you have a lot of parents who are like, wait, I have to pay for it? I guess it is okay if my son keeps his whole penis.
Well,
I guess I can be smart enough to teach him to wash his own penis, right? And it's that simple. It's like, wow, this is what we're dealing with, people.
Money is a great motivator.
Yeah. If you're smart enough to go to college, you're smart enough to wash your penis.
Exactly. Yep. If you can drive a car, you can wash your penis.
Wash your penis.
Yep. Yeah.
Those are
What
great
about like
points,
the
great
intermediary point though? Like
learning?
Well, yeah, number one, learning, but you're like, oh, if you can drive a car, yeah, sure, if you're that old, you can figure it out. But I've also been on Reddit, and there's a lot of people out there that can't figure out how to wash their hair properly or how to wipe their butt properly because they've never.
As far as I'm concerned, circumcision should be legal so long as you do it after you're 18.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We always say boldly that we are against infant circumcision.
Yep.
As Bloodstained Men and Friends. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to please allow me to address this so-called phimosis issue, and please be aware that the foreskin is attached to the head of the penis at birth and does not separate until approximately puberty.
Correct.
When it's time for sexual activity.
Yes.
So there's nothing to wash under there. It's attached like your fingernail is attached to your finger.
Yes.
And they have to physically rip it away, and I use that term specifically. They have to rip it away to cut it off during circumcision.
That's horrifying. I didn't ever hear that before. I mean, right when you said it was attached, like it's attached to your fingernails, I was like, ew, they have to cut that? And then you said rip it.
If you watch a circumcision video, you'll see the tools that they have to use and ripping it away. And yeah, he's right. So because they'll try to use the excuse of phimosis to cut a baby. But
what is phimosis? Is that when it's too tight or something? That
Go ahead, Dwayne.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right. When either phimosis, they'll call it when it either won't retract or it won't return over the head or the glands of the penis. And it's a lie they use. And if you're an adult and you have phimosis, and it is possible, they sell phimosis rings, and you can stretch your foreskin just like you can stretch an earlobe. But if you go to the doctor, their only thing they're going to say is cut it off.
Western doctors. American
now,
doctors. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Probably in Israel too.
Yeah. They're like, wait, how did we miss you?
Yeah.
How did we miss you? How do you still have this thing?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's already cut off in Israel. Yeah,
yeah, we're making a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good way to filter out infiltrators.
Yeah, they're like, you can't be a Jew. He still has his.
He's an FBI undercover.
Nobody's ever asked me to pass the test on this one.
Have you ever been an infiltrator?
Show it to me.
Not in Florida, maybe, but.
What organizations are you infiltrating, Mark?
In Florida, we use alligators to do it.
Are you scared of this thing? No.
Well, I guess you can. That's your for bloodstained men. You can be that way too, or be amputated. But it is an amputation and it is a removal. And yes, you have less penis when you cut something off. There's less.
Yes, it can be really that simple. It really is.
Yeah, it's kind of like with the ear piercing thing. It's like you might say that is something stupid for a little girl to care about, like, oh, I wish I didn't have these like earring holes that my parents gave me, and it's just like, if you want to say it's superficial that a man wishes that his parents didn't choose this for him, it's a lot less superficial than that, to be fair. But
exactly.
Even the most superficial reason is fine because it's your body,
right? Yeah, it's basic bodily autonomy. We're talking morals and ethics.
Well, thank you for the call, Dwayne. I definitely appreciate, especially the fact that he pointed out that it's not just that they steal the skin, but they harvest it for
industry.
Yeah, beauty industry. That is ridiculous. That's a pretty ridiculous reason to act like we need that. But we have another.
I will suggest then, real quickly, that if that is a reason, right, that industry's not going away. And that could also be driven underground, right? Why will people do it? Because now they get paid directly from the beauty industry or, some sort of intermediary for it, instead of just going, no, I don't need to do this.
They could just, they can, that's
fine. The beauty
fine.
industry will create the demand, and poor people will provide the supply.
That's, but that'll actually involve consent, though. So then we can have these beauty industry companies asking adults, hey, would you like to lose your foreskin and then compensate you, rather than what it is in the hospitals right now.
No, they're going to offer the parents
I wonder if it's only
baby.
For the baby. I wonder if it's only useful with a baby one. I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing there.
Well, it's just, they'll say that it has
rather than paying the doctor
properties.
bill, you're going to get paid for it.
Higher properties in it, and the baby skin versus the adult foreskin, but it should be that way, because right now we're charging the parents for the procedure,
right,
and then the companies are turning around making huge profits, and then the living donor, right, is the baby who no longer has part of his penis. He is getting nothing.
Right. So now the parents are going to sell the baby's foreskin to the beauty industry and profit off of it.
I don't know that it's that. I wonder if it's that big of a thing to keep alive, even if they had to go underground. I don't know. But let's go to the phone, or to the other caller. We have unscreened caller. You're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind? Hello, can you hear us?
Hola.
I'm sorry. Yes. Thanks.
Yep, we hear you. What's on your mind? Or just say thanks. Are we breaking up?
Never.
Okay, unfortunately, I can't hear
Try
you.
again.
I can't hear the caller, so I'm going to the other caller. Unscreened.
Go to hell.
Oh, okay. Now we can't talk to him. But we could try one more time with the first caller, and see if.
We'll explain later.
Yeah.
Okay.
We heard you there for a second, giving it caller going once, caller going twice.
Hello.
Yes, am I on?
Yeah, you're on. Yep.
Just don't move and keep talking.
I did have a question, probably more directed towards Mark, for the Bitcoin conference. And I see some heavy hitters were there.
Yeah.
With the Attorney General and the CTFC and some heavy hitting CEOs, and Eric Trump.
Yeah.
Eric Trump being there. Was there any?
But I think a lot of them were remote.
Oh, okay.
Eric Trump was there because Angela told me that Eric Trump saw them holding Free Ian signs.
That's cool.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know who was there and who's not. Go ahead, caller. What's the question?
I was just wondering if you were able to get any maybe regulatory enforcement sentiment going forward from your attendance there, or
regulatory enforcement.
Yeah, if you were happen to attend some of their remote sides where they were able to speak and maybe hear what they were having to say.
Well, as from what I heard, no is the short answer. From what I heard, they mostly just spit out platitudes, and no one was impressed with the direction that they were. Those in power were sort of talking as far as Bitcoin went. I saw Afro Man and the comedian Ryan Long. That's
Oh, he was actually there? I thought Ryan Long was joking about being there. Well, anyways, he's like my favorite comedian. He's so funny.
Really?
I gave him dap.
Nice. He's awesome. Did you tell him about Free Ian?
No, there wasn't enough time. No.
I love the case that just happened with Afro Man.
Yes.
That he defeated. I'm actually from Ohio, so it's great. It's like, wow, you actually defeated these cops, and these songs that you made are fantastically funny.
I'm making them cry. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm about this. Yes.
Yep.
I did have a question about Afro. That was my follow-up. What kind of message did he have for the BTC community? Because I love the videos and the lemon pound cake. That's awesome stuff there. So did he have a very good message for the BTC community?
I had a meeting at the time that Afro Man was speaking, so I didn't get to see his speech.
Dang. Lame. We're going to see him this month anyway.
These events,
We're going to see him this month anyway, Mark, in Michigan.
We
so
are.
You won't.
Really?
Maybe you didn't miss it. Yep.
Yeah.
At the
send
LNC.
an email to me at markedge.org and I'll ask a question for you.
Do we know he's a libertarian, though?
He wants to run as a libertarian.
But is he a libertarian? There's a lot of people that want to run as a libertarian and aren't libertarians.
Nobody's as libertarian as you are.
We get it.
That is a bold statement.
He has made some bold moves for libertarianism.
Well, for the First Amendment specifically.
Yes.
And only because he was harassed by the cops.
Well.
Right? That's a good start. That's an introduction into libertarianism.
Yeah. And he's won against the, judicially, so.
I get it.
Yeah.
But again, winning in court doesn't make you a libertarian.
I mean, he did wear a lot of American flags, but
that's
I don't
a good point, Bonnie.
I don't want to talk too much
Not
about it because, like, a lot of
the
people
outfit
who are new,
wasn't very libertarian.
a lot of people who are really new to the ideas might have just not gotten there yet. Like,
I get it. That's why I'm asking the question. I'm not making accusations.
Yeah.
I'm just asking if anyone knows if he's actually a libertarian or if he's just like getting introduced to libertarianism.
I don't have confirmed answers on that.
Yeah, my first 4th of July,
Find out
I
at
cried.
the Libertarian Convention before you elect him to some point.
Well, we have another caller on the line. It might be the person who's not allowed to talk, but let's see. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hi there.
I'm glad I answered.
Yay! Good job, Bonnie.
You don't want the other person, but you were talking about two subjects that attracted my interest. I just got home and dialed in and went, oh, good. I haven't missed the show yet. Yes, I'm from Ohio, and I think he was doing a great job by fighting for people's liberty. I think that if the government had to obey their own rules, I think that would be a long distance towards getting to a world we prefer to have.
Right.
But,
it's a start.
Yeah. And the idea of even contemplating child genital mutilation, are you freaking kidding me? Okay. That's something I think that society, I mean, it can be argued that from ancient times to modern times, we've re-examined a lot of the assumptions that we've made about how organized human activity, and we've kind of improved things, gotten rid of I mean, we haven't gotten rid of slavery all over the world, but at least most societies will at least play lip service to the idea that slavery is a bad idea.
Exactly.
It's also a cultural issue, and at one point, do you care that much about what other cultures are doing if it's not your own? Yeah. And how much of a limb are you going to walk out on to defend the rights of those children without it mostly be virtue signaling?
Yeah, well, that's always the balance, isn't it? How involved do you want to get in other people's lives? I mean,
you can never stop all evils just because even you create a libertarian utopia. Like, evil things will continue to happen. And
I get it, but even the female circumcision, right, happens more in other cultures, and fine if you want to talk about it, right? But who cares?
I think people just mostly focus on what's going on around them.
Yeah. Makes sense. I always say that if female circumcision was happening here, you'd find me in the streets.
Yeah.
I'd be protesting it the same.
Well, we have a lot of callers. Maybe it's a lot of people want to talk about the same subject, or maybe they want to talk about something new. Let's go to the unscreened caller. You're on Free Talk Live, and thanks for the caller. The last call.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's on your mind? I hear you.
Well, I want to talk about circumcision. I'm a victim of this, and I consider it a human rights atrocity. I'm insanely angry about it. One thing I wanted to touch on is
it an atrocity or is it just a civil matter with your parents?
It's an atrocity. It's an unbelievable atrocity. You know, we talked about the Holocaust and 6 million people. Circumcision is in the billions.
Yeah.
Billions of victims.
Honestly, the thing is, I think that people would act like it was so much more of an atrocity if it was happening more often to women.
Yep.
And I don't think it's just because everybody treats women nicer. I think it's like more obviously horrible because when they cut off the clitoris, it's like you have no sexual no sexual pleasure.
But there's different phases.
The male foreskin is the neuronal equivalent of the clitoris. They are cutting off the male clitoris.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So,
because
well, that's not true. They're cutting off the hood, right? They're cutting off basically the hood of the clitoris, which is horrible, and I wouldn't want that to have happened to me.
Procedure for some women.
So
and it's a horrible procedure, and it shouldn't be done.
It's the same nerves. It's the same nerves in the clitoris or the foreskin.
Right.
Yeah, but then there's the clitoral body. I just don't want to say things are untrue is all. But you can, it is still horrible.
I'm telling the truth.
It is the same.
You can look it up. You can Google it.
It's not the same. It's the same as the clitoral hood.
Between a female circumcision and a male circumcision,
you can't tell me men that are circumcised have no.
Is removing the entire scrotum and the glands of the penis.
Yeah.
These things aren't even on the same map.
Right.
And
because women have a tiny little
You're
thing.
minimizing this atrocity.
No, I'm not.
No,
I think it's
not an
horrible to
atrocity.
remove the clitoral
Okay,
hood.
that's not okay. But here's the thing, Mark. You don't speak for all men, though. You can't
I
say.
don't speak
Neither
for
does
all
Cole.
men.
Well, that's what I'm
somebody
stating.
out
So
there
you have
thinks that
to
getting
allow.
your haircut's an atrocity, right? There's kooks everywhere, and I'm just like, no. I'm not going to let that happen.
There's babies that die every year from this procedure.
Yeah,
so
that's something we should focus on.
It clearly is an atrocity if there's babies dying from the procedure.
I think the caller doesn't understand. I agree it's an atrocity. I agree that it shouldn't be done. And I also think that removing the clitoral body and the hood is different than removing just the clitoral body. Or
for sure. But what we're not talking about, though, is that there's different stages of FGM and MGM. So not all stages of female genital mutilation is that removal. So you're talking like a stage 5, and what he is stating is that on the MGM, if they put them in different stages, the American modern circumcision is a stage 5.
Wait, the American modern circumcision of a man?
Yes, correct. Is a stage 5. It is the most severe that it can be because
for a man, sure, but this is what I was comparing. That I think we're just not on the same page. Yeah. Removing all sexual stimulation from a woman is just not the same as only removing the clitoral hood. That's obvious. And
But you're not removing all the sexual pleasure from the woman. She still has pleasure in the parts of her left, just like a man. Just like a man.
Oh, what's the problem?
Parts to her left?
I
think that men are uneducated on the parts and don't realize that it's nothing like having a. Okay,
Gen Z can't find the clitoris.
I don't think it's just that. It's just like, I think he thinks like, oh, you still have penetration pleasure. It's not the same thing. You have a penis. That means you have basically what is called the clitoral body inside of the hood. Removing the hood is a atrocity. I agree with him. But if you remove the entire penis, that would be the equivalent of removing the entire clitoral body and the labia minor and the hood.
The point here that I would like to make is that only kooks can drive away their supporters.
That is a good point. I hate when callers do that. It's like, I am agreeing with you.
I mean, like, this is true for everybody everywhere. Like, hey, take your win, wave your flag. But I mean, like, God, why if you're trying does it have to go this far?
If you're trying,
oh my God, if this was women, well, but it's entirely different.
But it's correct though. If it was women, no, because if you actually look up the bulk of FGM cases, they're not all stage 5, Mark.
That is a great point.
Yes, a lot of the FGM cases, it's a stage 1. So if you want to look up what they do in those different Muslim and the Somalian countries, most of the time they do a stage 1, which is typically a prick of the clitoral hood. And of course, this is all terrible, but they do a prick or they do a henna dye of the tip. Okay? So now if you compare a prick of the tip or a henna dye, then compare that to a male modern circumcision, Yeah, I think basically every American man would rather have a prick of their penis happen.
I think
or
everyone should agree with that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's not what this man was saying.
Health Organization, this type of subdivision it goes into two types. So type 1A is the removal of the pubis or clitoral hood only. Type 1B is removal of the clitoral glands along the pubis or clitoral hood. Now, I don't know about anything. I've done a brief amount of research because you asked me to, and I did it. So whatever a stage 5 is sounds like the whole thing. But the stage 1A is removal of the clitoral hood. To me, if I was a woman, I'd rather have my clitoral hood removed when I was a child than the clitoral glands along with the pubis and clitoral hood.
Of course. Yeah. I understand.
So I'm just saying that these things are, we're talking apples and oranges here.
Right. Okay, but we're acting like all of the female circumcisions happen at a stage 5.
In modern America, women will go get vaginoplasties.
I just stage 1B and 1A to you.
No, I understand that, but what I'm stating is I don't understand why is the prick not included? What you're reading right now?
It is. No, the prick is here. It's
okay.
Also a stage type 1. Right, there's a type 1A and a type 1B, which sound like the whole everything we're talking about. I don't know what a stage 2, 3, 4, or 5, or if there's 10 more stages after that.
No, there's not. It ends at 5.
What I've you asked me to look it up. I looked it up.
I didn't ask you to look it up, though.
You did. You said look it up.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. The thing is, I think we all can agree
the transcript,
on a lot of this. That it's just like we should let people choose things for their own kids, and it's like I think it's great that Richie Rich said that he would let his son tell him what do you want me to owe you? Restitutional for the violence.
Let people choose for their own kids, though. They have their own
More
body.
Free Talk Live at freetalklive.com. Thanks for listening. Peace.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the